Konoha, he personally inspected the body of Han Guang, who had been buried for a month, to know the cause of Han Guang's death. Sarutobi Hiruzen thought for a while, then shook his head, raised his hand and said, "I see, let's go." "My subordinates retire." Kato Fung respectfully saluted, then turned and left. Sarutobi Hiruzen just picked up the pen, and suddenly frowned again. He thought of a possibility. His eyes widened a lot, and Sarutobi Hiruzen looked up and said, "Wait. Lord Hokage." Kato stopped and turned around. "Are there any cracks in his face?" Sarutobi Hiruzen asked. "No. Oh, it's all right." Sarutobi Hiruzen relax, not impure world reincarnation. He suddenly shook his head and smiled again, feeling that he was thinking too much. Even if someone resurrected Han Guang with impure world reincarnation, how could he have direct contact with them? Besides, impure world reincarnation, the forbidden technique, is forbidden to practice even in Konoha. The possibility of outsiders being able to learn it is very small, and the possibility of being able to learn it is basically zero. Sarutobi Hiruzen thought about someone pretending to be Han Guang, but he didn't take it to heart. "Cold, why don't you pretend to be Senju Hashirama?" A thing that no one believes when it is said. It does not need to spend too much energy to pay attention to it. At the same time, another place in Konoha village, a mansion in the forest. Luhan walked to the gate of the house on the dead leaves that were rolled in the wind. The plaque of Hengguang's former residence was hung on the gate of the house. There were some weeds growing on the gate, and there was some patina on the gate. Luhan raised his head and frowned at this. Somewhat different. This house has been rebuilt, and even the position of the gate is half a meter to the left. Luhan appeared in the house. In fact, he already knew that Tsunade was not in Konoha village, nor was Hyuga Luoning. There were only orange dots on the Insight map, and there were tens of thousands of them. Tsunade and Hyuga Luoning were both green names. It shows that there is no one near the mansion in the forest, and it has been abandoned. Although he knew that no one lived in this house, Luhan still wanted to come back and have a look. Pushing open the door of the main building, the moonlight spilled into the house, and dust was everywhere. It seemed that no one had lived in it for a long time. However, because this building was not completely destroyed in the battle, it was only damaged and repaired. So this building still feels familiar and friendly to Luhan. Luhan came to the bedroom on the second floor. He simply tidied up the room, took out some food from the space backpack, ate some while standing by the window in front of the moonlight, and watched the scenery outside the window for a long time. Finally, he returned to the squat and slept with his clothes on. I don't know how long it has been since Tsunade left Konoha. It's impossible to judge by falling dust, because even if no one cleans here every day, someone should come to clean it every New Year. With complicated thoughts, Luhan fell asleep. On a new day, as the sun rose, Konoha, who had been silent all night, began to roar again. During the war, Konoha was under military rule, but did not block the village to prohibit trade. The Third Ninja World War is different from the Second Ninja World War. The Second World War was fought very fiercely, and the Third World War is considered to be the aftermath of World War II, and it is a continuation. Since it is the aftermath, it is definitely not as intense as World War II. Actually, it is. Although more countries participated in the Third World War, in addition to the 5 major countries, even some small surrounding countries were encouraged to participate in the war, but there were very few large-scale battles, and there were only a handful of battles involving 10,000 people, most of which were small-scale. Conflict, the battle of 1 or 2,000 ninjas is the norm. This has a lot to do with the participation of small countries in the war. The more forces participating in the war, the more the situation of division. Perhaps it was because World War II left so profound lessons for all countries that during the Third World War, all parties did not dare to kill too hard. During the Second Ninja World War, the largest battle was on the battlefield of the Kingdom of Rain. At that time, the 5 forces of sand, rain, soil, rock, and iron invested a total of nearly 30,000 troops. It is impossible for this situation to occur in the Third War. The Konoha village is bustling with people coming and going. Affected by the war, at this time, there were not many foreign businessmen in the downtown area of Konoha. Most of the people who came and went were Konoha residents. Counting ordinary people, there were tens of thousands of residents in Konoha. These people are enough to form a completed social system. So even if there is a war outside, the Konoha village, which can't help but do business, should be lively and lively. Is it delicious? Then eat more. A big boy about 8 or 9 years old and a little boy who is only 4 or 5 years old are walking on the street. The big boy has his hands behind his head and looks very leisurely, while the little boy is eating and holding a candy bag in his arms. The little hand kept grabbing inward and put the halva into his mouth, looking very greedy. It's too much to eat. The little boy suddenly said in distress. Then take it back, hide it, don't be seen by the patriarch, it will be confiscated. The big boy said. On the side of the street, on the 13-story tower, Luhan dressed in a mysterious dress stood on the eaves and looked down at the street below. He just wanted to find some acquaintances, and soon noticed the two who looked like brothers. The child raised his eyebrows slightly. These two children are of the Uchiha tribe, and both left a very strong mark in the original work, especially the little one, who is an indispensable and important character in the original work, and has a very high popularity. He also has a younger brother. Is one of the protagonists of the original. Big boy a few years older, Uchiha Shisui. A 4-year-old boy, Uchiha Itachi. Chapter 0850 possibly a spy from another country. Uchiha Itachi seems to be a little young. At this age, he should have just started cultivating. I don't know if he has enrolled in a ninja school. The ordinary children in Konoha village are enrolled at the age of 5 or 6, but geniuses are always exceptions. And Uchiha Itachi is a genius among geniuses. On the street, 2 boys, one big and one small, walked eastward talking and laughing. Luhan stood on the eaves of the tower and looked down with a strange expression on his face. What's weird is the identity information displayed above Uchiha Itachi's head. Uchiha clan young patriarch, Uchiha Itachi. His father is the patriarch, and his father is Uchiha Fugaku. Historical inertia is really terrifying. Uchiha Fugaku has completely lost his power, and he can still become the patriarch. Is Uchiha Leiyang dead? Luhan guessed in his heart, and his eyes kept chasing after Uchiha Itachi. Regarding Uchiha Fugaku, Luhan used to hate him very much, but what he hated was the young, frivolous and playful Uchiha Fugaku. According to the normal historical trend, after Uchiha Fugaku is fully mature, he is not a villain, but a very positive person. But Luhan did not agree with this sentence, otherwise the word prodigal son would be meaningless. In the original biography, Uchiha Fugaku took the initiative to let Uchiha Itachi kill himself after knowing that the tribe was going to rebel, and at that time, he had already opened Mangekyo Sharingan. Did he marry Makoto? Luhan thought of the girl who smiled softly again, and immediately shook his head again. No. If there is no Luhan, Uchiha Fugaku will definitely marry Uchiha Makoto, but because there is Luhan in this world, Uchiha Makoto and Uchiha Fugaku are completely separated. Among the factions within the Uchiha tribe, since Uchiha Leiyang came to power, the two have been completely different in tit for tat. Among the factions, it can be said that the situation is the same. They have no chance of being together. After Uchiha Fugaku takes the position, it is more likely to kill Uchiha Makoto. Master Minato. The boy's exclamation suddenly rang out from the street. It was Uchiha Shisui. He seemed to have seen something extraordinary. After exclaiming, he dragged the little guy Uchiha Itachi and ran over to say hello. On the other side of the street, at the door of the gift shop, a young blonde man walked side by side with a slim girl. Konoha S-Class Indie Quest Ninja, Namikaze Minato. Konoha 4th Generation Kyubi, Nine Tails People Jinchuriki, Column Force, Uzumaki Arena. Namikaze Minato is 23 years old this year. He is handsome and charming, and the girl beside him. If Luhan remembers correctly, Uzumaki Arena is 18 this year, when 12 years ago, Konoha 15 years ago, after Luhan brought Wuwei King Mu back to Konoha, he looked for a suitable person in the village, Jinchuriki column force. Uzumaki Arena was the only suitable candidate, but Luhan rejected her for his own plan. Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Arena seem to be a couple. They stand together, they are really talented. Namikaze Minato is calm, while Uzumaki Arena is a little shy. Terrible historical inertia, Luhan muttered to himself. If nothing goes wrong, Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Arena will get married in the second half of the year. Uzumaki Naruto will be born in October next year, and on that day, Uchiha Obito will come to seize Kyubi, Nine Tails, and then attack Konoha. Kushina was replaced by Arena. Where did Kushina go? While Luhan was thinking about it, on the street below, Uchiha Shisui dragged the little guy and ran to Namikaze Minato's side. Shisui, why didn't you go to school today? Namikaze Minato smiled and touched Shisui's head. I am on vacation today, Shisui said cautiously, and then asked boldly, Minato-sama, do you have any assignments today? I can't say it. Namikaze Minato shook his finger with a smile. Seeing that Uchiha Shisui admires Namikaze Minato, who already has the name of Shining, and Uchiha Itachi, because he is too young, doesn't know much yet, but also stares at Namikaze Minato with bright eyes. Hokage-sama is waiting for us, Uzumaki Arena whispered to Namikaze Minato. Yeah, Namikaze Minato nodded, trying to get rid of the entanglement of the two little brats. Suddenly, he seemed to feel something, and suddenly looked up. Four eyes facing each other. Namikaze Minato saw the figure in black on the eaves of the tower. Under the dark mask, his eyes were as calm as stagnant water. It's not surprising that there are people upstairs. Many Konoha ninjas like to come and go, and the same is true of Legion ninjas or Anbu ninjas who perform patrol tasks, but Namikaze Minato can feel it. The person above is not a Konoha ninja, very strange. Luhan and Namikaze Minato looked at each other for a few seconds, then disappeared. He had little to do with Namikaze Minato before. 30 years after Konoha, Luhan came to the ninja world. At that time, Namikaze Minato was 6 years old and was still studying at the ninja school. At 37 years of Konoha, Luhan died. Namikaze Minato was 13 years old and just became Chunin. He was already known as a super genius, but Luhan still haven't been in contact with him. You have to work hard. With your talent, Shisui, you might be able to become Hokage in the future. I don't want to be Hokage. Oh, why? I want to become a ninja as powerful as Lord Hangwang. Ha, Lord Hangwang is also Hokage. Is that so? It's still a Hokage then. Minato-sama, are you going to be a Hokage too? I will become a ninja as powerful as Lord Hangwang. Namikaze Minato encouraged Uchiha Shisui with a few words, then took Uzumaki Arena away and walked towards the Hokage building. It was not until the two of them were far away that Shisui was relieved, no longer nervous, and chatted with the little guy Itachi about growing up, on the cold light, on the topic of Hokage. ... Forest path. You go first. Namikaze Minato stopped abruptly. What's wrong? Uzumaki Arena asked in confusion. There was someone just now. I have to go and see. Namikaze Minato made a special gesture to Uzumaki Arena, a very strong guy, maybe a spy from another country. Then be careful. Uzumaki Arena smiled sweetly, not looking worried. Namikaze Minato nodded, dodging away. Chapter 0851 What are you looking at? With Namikaze Minato, Uzumaki Arena hurried to the Hokage building and met Sarutobi Hiruzen in the Hokage office. Just you. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked up and was stunned. Where's Minato? Minato has found some problems. Spies from other countries are very difficult. Uzumaki Arena smiled, very well behaved, and asked cautiously, Lord Hokage, Minato has a mission, do you want to go out? Yeah. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded without saying much, then raised his finger to the sofa not far away. Sit and wait for him to come over. Konoha Police Force, Police Building. The number of people entering and leaving the building is not too many, not too few. Konoha has a population of tens of thousands. Even if foreign enemies are not considered, there are many internal security problems, such as theft, robbery, commercial fraud, neighbor disputes, or murder, etc. These all problems are managed and handled by the police force in charge of the Uchiha tribe. Beside the grove outside the police building, Luhan crossed his arms and leaned against the tree, observing the gate of the police building. He came here to find out two things: Uchiha Fugaku's patriarch identity, and where Uchiha Makoto went. He plans to investigate Konoha for 10 days, and learn about the current situation of the ninja world through Konoha. After that, he will leave Konoha and go to find Tsunade. If there is a clue to Uchiha Madara, he may go to Uchiha Madara first, and now, he is here now. The observation from the police building is just a small thing in the plan. Just look. After observing for a full hour, some Uchiha ninjas had noticed Luhan, who was dressed mysteriously next to the grove, but no one came forward to ask questions. Perhaps Luhan was too calm, showing a clear conscience that he did not hide or hide. The other party probably regarded him as a Konoha Anbu ninja. Bastard! You bitch! Why are you arresting me? Damn it! What did I do wrong? On the side road of the police building, two Uchiha ninjas, a man and a woman, were leading a middle-aged man with blood on his face to the direction of the building. Scolding. On the top of the head, there is a message that this is a businessman from Konoha village, and it is unknown why he was arrested. Shut up. The male ninja named Uchi Namikaze slapped the businessman on the back of the head, staggering him and nearly falling. The Uchi Namikaze flag looks like she is in her 20s. She has a slender body wrapped in a blue-gray ninja uniform. She has a graceful appearance. Yuhi followed the businessman without saying a word. Uchiha Makoto, she is 27 years old this year. Bitch, why don't you talk? What about your man? Don't you have a lot of men? Bitch. The businessman was still scolding, his scolding harsh. Uchi Namikaze flag almost all the way into the police building, and Uchiha Makoto, always silent. Luhan looked at it and frowned slightly. The businessman scolded Uchiha Makoto. Even if his head was beaten with blood, Uchiha Makoto looked aggrieved and insisted. What happened? Even businessmen and criminals who are not ninjas dare to scold the ninjas of the Uchiha tribe. What happened in these 10 years? Luhan suddenly narrowed his eyes slightly. 5 seconds later. What are you looking at? A deep voice suddenly sounded behind Luhan. What happened to Uchiha Makoto? Luhan asked without looking back, as if talking to a friend. You know her. I met a long time ago. You haven't been to Konoha in years. Yeah, it's been so many years. What a big change, alas. Luhan sighed and turned to look at the blonde figure standing 10 meters away, holding Hiraishin's back, Namikaze Minato. Who are you? Namikaze Minato looked at Luhan warily. He had lost track of him before, and after searching for an entire hour, he found Luhan, who was not hidden here. Namikaze Minato already had a very good understanding of the strength of this mysterious man in front of him. High rating. Wreak havoc on Konoha before he was caught. Yesterday I told people who I am, but they didn't believe me. If I told you today, you probably wouldn't believe me either. Luhan said lightly, and glanced at Hiraishin kunai in Namikaze Minato's hands. Namikaze Minato Master Hiraishin is not surprising, but Luhan doesn't know whether he is Master Rasengan now. In this world, Rasengan was created by Luhan, not by Namikaze Minato, so, did Namikaze Minato create other techniques, or? Go back with me, if you're not an enemy, I'll let you go. Namikaze Minato said coldly, and said it very directly. At the same time, the orange name on his head suddenly turned into a fresh Yuhi color, and at the same time, his strength level was increased. Konoha's level independent quest ninja, level 70 bronze boss, Namikaze Minato. This guy really pervert. The high level of strength startled Luhan, as if something was wrong. Yuhi name now. If Luhan catches him without hesitation, he will definitely do it. Ha! Luhan smiled and disappeared. Namikaze Minato dodged and disappeared at the same time. Luhan appeared in the depths of the woods, turned into a shadow and moved quickly, but he heard a whistle. Hiraishin Kuu directly killed Luhan. Namikaze Minato appeared behind Luhan in an instant, just about to shoot. Luhan quickly accelerated, and then again disappear. The two chased and fled, and quickly moved out of the village. Not that Luhan doesn't want to fight Namikaze Minato, it's interesting to try his strength, but he can't fight in Konoha village, and Namikaze Minato also realizes this. In the village, the biggest loss will be Konoha, so he also has reservations. Namikaze Minato was very shocked. Judging from the speed of the mysterious man, his strength was absolutely terrifying. Such a mysterious powerhouse, if he wants to destroy the village, Konoha will be easy to kill him, but the price will be very high. Short while later, 30 kilometers west of Konoha village, in the endless forest. Kai _ An air-breaking sound resounded from behind Luhan. Namikaze Minato was no longer reserved, and instantly appeared behind Luhan, with a dazzling light in his hand, and smashed fiercely at Luhan's shoulder. Rasengan. Chapter 0852 fart. Luhan made a movement that almost violated the principles of physics during the rush. Ignoring the inertia, his body suddenly stopped moving forward, twisting his waist and swinging his arms. His hands also lit up with a dazzling light. Namikaze Minato's eyes widened instantly. Obviously the Rasengan in Luhan's hand shook his heart. Although Luhan made the last shot, he was faster. The speed of Namikaze Minato refers to the speed of his body formed by the technique of Hiraishin, not the speed of his shots. Luhan's arm that can shoot thousands of times in a second is not something he can compare. LV9 Ultimate Rasengan vs Rasengan. Boom _ The rays of light exploded, and a terrifying shock wave swept across the forest. The two flew backwards at the same time. The tearing force formed by the bombing destroyed a large area of the forest, the ground rolled and cracked, and the trees were washed into pieces. After the smoke and dust passed, Luhan and Namikaze Minato were 100 meters apart. There was a big pit between them, and all the trees inside and outside the pit were destroyed. PFF'd. Namikaze Minato spurted blood directly. He was injured and looked at Luhan in disbelief. The two of them flew out at the same time just now. Luhan took the initiative to retreat to avoid the shock wave, while Namikaze Minato was sent flying. He was careless. In fact, it can't be said to be careless, because he didn't expect that there is still a Master Rasengan in this world. This technique, after the death of Lord Hangwang, has been lost. Rasengan used by the man in black has a power that is not inferior to that used by Lord Hangwang. You haven't been injured for a long time, haven't you? There was a smile in Luhan's voice. Why are you Rasengan? Namikaze Minato stared at Luhan. I should ask you this, why are you Rasengan? Luhan asked rhetorically. A hint of confusion flashed in Namikaze Minato's eyes. Why did he Rasengan? This matter is not a secret in Konoha, nor is it a secret in the entire ninja world. This guy doesn't know. 9 years ago, I deduced the operation method of Rasengan through the battle images left by Lord Hangwang, and realized the cultivation. Namikaze Minato said, it is not a secret, naturally there is nothing that can't be said. Genius! Luhan exclaimed. In the original book, Namikaze Minato created Rasengan by observing Tailed Beast Bomb's inspiration. In this life, he realized Rasengan through Luhan's Rasengan, and there is nothing wrong with it. Moreover, Luhan gave him more direct inspiration, so he cultivated earlier. You haven't answered me yet, why are you Rasengan? Namikaze Minato asked, intuitively telling him that the person in front of him had a great relationship with Lord Hangwang. I created it, Luhan confessed. You fart. Hey, how do you scold people? That Namikaze Minato was very excited, Luhan couldn't understand Namikaze Minato's brain circuit. If you don't guess I'm Han Guang, it's okay to just scold people. This technique is obviously created by Lord Hangguang. Before it was used by Lord Hangguang, no one has ever used it. How dare you say it was created by you? Shameless. Actually, don't say it anymore. You want to say that this technique was taught to Lord Hangguang by you, right? You are farting. You can never insult Lord Hangguang. Hey, you're talking about it. I haven't. Stop talking. The excited Namikaze Minato interrupted Luhan again, wiped the blood from his mouth with the back of his hand, and then ran away. The rampant Namikaze Minato was also very dashing, with smooth movements, but Luhan still found it annoying, because Namikaze Minato wanted to beat him. Whoosh! Struck out, Namikaze Minato instantly arrived at Luhan's side. Namikaze Minato disappeared on the spot, appeared in front of Luhan, and held Kuwu back and slashed towards Luhan's ribs with extreme speed. There was also a kunai in Luhan's hand, and he fought against Minato's kunai. Namikaze Minato flashed behind Luhan again. Rasengan lit up in his hand and slammed down, but Luhan turned slightly to the side, dodging the attack at the same time. Kunwui turned, and paddled towards Namikaze Minato's elbow. Namikaze Minato hurriedly closed in shock, his waist twisted and disappeared again, and after another flash, he appeared behind Luhan again, and Rasengan swept across. Hiraishin kunai flew around Luhan. Namikaze Minato disappeared and appeared every time, because it was too fast. People thought he was constantly blinking, but in fact, he would grab Hiraishin beside him every time he blinked. Kuwu is thrown out again, just because it is too fast, and it is difficult for people to see clearly. This guy seems to be obsessed, so he attacked Luhan in two ways, either the kunai attack or the Rasengan attack, up, down, left, right, front and back. Namikaze Minato appeared next to Luhan again and again, launched attacks again and again, and Luhan was beside him. There are his shadows everywhere, but he just can't hit Luhan. The most thrilling time, his Rasengan almost hit Luhan's back, but because Luhan's Kuwu stabbed his elbow, if he insisted on attacking, the result would only be that his arm would be cut off first, so he could only dodge. This time it looks tepid, but in a very fast-paced battle, Namikaze Minato is very frustrated. Namikaze Minato is not only capable of this, he has more powerful abilities. Hiraishin and Rasengan cooperate with all the big moves. It's useless, but he has no scruples. He can't kill people for no reason. The man in black before him is not any enemy he knows well, and he is afraid that he can't hold it back. The battle between the two looks like two figures are constantly shaking, sometimes shining, but they are always fleeting, so fast that people can't see clearly. Luhan felt a very familiar feeling in Namikaze Minato. He thought for a while before realizing where he was familiar. Namikaze Minato is like cold light. His application of the technique of Hiraishin and Rasengan has the shadow of cold light. This guy's cultivation path has been completely affected by the cold light. Forget it, if you can't beat me, I know what you're going to do next. Luhan suddenly said. At the same moment, he escaped, appeared 100 meters away, and looked at him with playful eyes. Namikaze Minato. Namikaze Minato's face was stern, and after a short pause, his whole body was shaken, and a terrifying chakra wave burst out. His right hand was quickly raised, and the enlarged version of Rasengan quickly took shape. Luhan was shocked. This guy uses Big Ball Rasengan. Chapter 0853_Luhan vs Enhanced Namikaze Minato. Namikaze Minato actually created Big Ball Rasengan. This technique was created by his son Uzumaki Naruto in the original work, and it was Uzumaki Naruto who achieved the reputation of Rasengan, while Namikaze Minato achieved the reputation of Hiraishin. It is also very interesting to say that the second-generation Hokage Senju Tobirama created the art of Hiraishin, and it was Namikaze Minato who raised the application of Hiraishin to ultimate, while Namikaze Minato created Rasengan, and it was his son who raised the application of Rasengan to ultimate. And now, because of Luhan's appearance, Luhan created the Rasengan technique earlier, which led to Namikaze Minato's earlier master of Rasengan, giving him more time to develop the potential of Rasengan. With that in mind, it's normal for him to develop a big ball Rasengan. It was just a little unexpected for Lu Han. The big ball Rasengan in Namikaze Minato's hands quickly swelled to 1 meter in diameter. If this is LV6, then its power should not lose to Lu Han's LV9 Ultimate Rasengan. I can't replicate the cultivation path of Lord Hengguang on Rasengan. My Rasengan has never been able to exert the power that Lord Hengguang can exert, so I can only make some changes. Namikaze Minato stared at Lu Han. His voice was low. He looks really pissed. A strange look flashed in Lu Han's eyes, and he couldn't help but ask, "Do you admire Lord Hengguang very much?" "He's the hero of Konoha," Namikaze Minato said, then turned into a shadow and rushed towards Lu Han, dragging Big Ball Rasengan down on Lu Han. Everything is instantaneous. Lu Han raised his hand as also Rasengan, LV9 Ultimate Rasengan reappears. Boom _. The terrifying blue light exploded in the forest, as if a huge jade bowl was upside down like a mountain in the forest. Lu Han and Namikaze Minato disappeared into the violent shockwave at the same time. The forest was devastated again. Lu Han appeared on the edge of the battlefield. The dust like wind and sand covered the sky and the sun had not yet dissipated. After taking a breath, Namikaze Minato appeared behind Lu Han, his voice hoarse because of his eagerness. "What are you and Lord Hengguang relationship?" Quote. He was just testing. He finally determined that the Rasengan displayed by the man in black was really as powerful as Lord Hengguang's Rasengan. This guy has the true biography of Lord Hengguang. A fog appeared in front of Namikaze Minato. He knew who the disciples of Lord Hengguang were. The first one, the five-tailed man Jinchuriki column Force Uzumaki Kushina, had been missing for many years, and the second one, Hatake Teishuo, was the feared Anbu captain. The third is the guy called Xiaoai by Lord Hongguang, who is already the fourth generation of Reikage. They all got different skills from Lord Hengguang, but no one was taught the art of Hiraishin. Lu Han turned to look at Namikaze Minato with very interested eyes. This Namikaze Minato is different from the original. Because of Master Big Ball Rasengan, he should be stronger than the same period in the original book. It can be said to be an enhanced version of Namikaze Minato. "Who are you?" Namikaze Minato roared when Lu Han didn't speak. "Not an enemy," Lu Han responded lightly. "What are you doing here at Konoha?" Namikaze Minato started rambling. "Find out some information." "Damn spies." Hey, what the fuck? Damn it. I didn't mean to ask for information, hey." Namikaze Minato had already rushed in front of Lu Han and attacked again. He didn't know if he was impatient, or he was unconvinced because he couldn't help Lu Han just now. It is estimated that the latter is more likely. This time, Namikaze Minato's attack frequency is faster, and the speed has reached a burst level. The yellow flash is not blown out. His speed is the first in the world. He is really faster than Lu Han. Yes, purely in terms of movement speed, Namikaze Minato is going to surpass Lu Han, because his master of Hiraishin is higher than Lu Han, and even he has the ability to directly leave Hiraishin on the enemy's body, so as to complete the lore that the enemy cannot dodge. But the premise is that he must be able to touch the enemy. He couldn't touch Lu Han at all. Movement speed is not equal to reaction awareness, nor is it equal to attack speed. Every time Namikaze Minato appeared in front of Lu Han, he had to launch an attack before he could form an attack. Whether it was wielding kunai, hitting Rasengan, or attacking with fists and feet, it all took a process and time. Even if this time is very short, it is enough for Lu Han to react. Lu Han crushes Namikaze Minato in terms of skills, reaction awareness, punching and kicking speed, etc. If he enters a state of rage, his speed will not be as fast as Namikaze Minato is slow. Only fast is not broken. There are flaws in this sentence. If you want to break the speed, as long as it is faster than the speed is enough. This is the reason why Namikaze Minato has been unable to beat Lu Han. Lu Han completely restrained him. The speed of melee combat suppresses the speed, and there is no need for the blessings such as Angry Blood State, Raiden Thunder Style, Chakra Mode, Sage Mode, and Physical Magic Power. Han was still able to calmly deal with Namikaze Minato's attack. Of course, in this state, it was extremely difficult for Lu Han to counterattack and damage Namikaze Minato. Neither of the two could do anything to each other. Namikaze Minato who can feel aggrieved. It was Namikaze Minato who regarded Lu Han as a spy and wanted to catch Lu Han. He chased him all the way out of Konoha village. He is really embarrassed. The two fought for another half an hour. Namikaze Minato had searched for various angles to attack Lu Han, trying to find out Lu Han's defense weakness, but no matter which angle or position he appeared in, Lu Han could respond in time, and he would come first, forcing him to withdraw his attack, or fight him to repulse. Forget it, save some energy, I don't want to hurt you, you can't beat me. Lu Han couldn't remember the first time he persuaded Namikaze Minato. Don't underestimate me, Namikaze Minato roared. His proud heart was already dripping with blood. At this moment, Lu Han felt the change of Namikaze Minato's breath. Go big. But see. Namikaze Minato throws Hiraishin Kunai again, followed by Kunai split into 5. Spiral Flash Super Wheel Dance and Roar 3 styles. Chapter 0854 I am the cold light. The Hiraishin Kunai who shot at Lu Han was divided into 5, and the running Namikaze Minato was also divided into 5. The 5 Namikaze Minato appeared in front of and behind Lu Han along with the Kunai. Attack, throw out Hiraishin Kunai again. The 5 Namikaze Minato exchange positions, and attack again with Hiraishin Kunai appearing beside Lu Han in different directions. This is Namikaze Minato's ultimate move, Spiral Flash Super Round Dance and Roar 3 styles. Combining Hiraishin, Shuriken Shadow Clone, and Rasengan together, an extremely complex attack method is formed. It is complicated to say, and the application is also extremely complex, and its power is also extremely terrifying. With this technique, Namikaze Minato rushes into the chaotic army and can kill hundreds of people in an instant. This move is too fast and the attack is too dense. Because it was too fast, many details could not be seen clearly. Even Lu Han could only barely capture some shadows. He didn't use Eternal Mangekyo. It seems that there are countless Namikaze Minatos attacking Lu Han back and forth. Each Namikaze Minato is a golden light, and countless golden lights alternate back and forth. At least 5 of Namikaze Minato's attacks are real. Dazzling golden light. The flickering golden light trapped Lu Han in the middle, and the big ball Rasengan lighted up from time to time, but most of them were attacking without thorns. Within 3 seconds, Lu Han received 48 attacks in a row, and he couldn't hold it anymore. And Lu Han didn't have time to open the Raiden Thunder Style Chakra Mode at all, and he didn't want to use the magic ring to hurt Namikaze Minato. A uniquely shaped Hiraishin Kunai shot out the golden light range, and the terrifying force instantly sent this kunai into the sky, and Lu Han immediately appeared in the sky, with several golden lights flashing back and forth, chasing towards the sky. But can't catch up at all, because the former is too fast. 5 Namikaze Minato appeared at a height of 500 meters, staring at Lu Han. 4 of them scattered. Namikaze Minato held Hiraishin Kunai in his body, and threw the kunai to the ground, flashing in the forest. Lu Han immediately appeared in the forest, playing with the unique Hiraishin Kunai in his hand. The reason why Hiraishin Kunai is unique is that his Hiraishin Kunai is different from Namikaze Minato's. Namikaze Minato gasped violently. In fact, he wouldn't be so tired when he used the Spiral Flash Super Round Dance and Roar 3 styles, with normal attack power, and what he just used on Lu Han was not ordinary. He is not using Rasengan, but Big Ball Rasengan. The main body uses Big Ball Rasengan many times in a row, and the chakra consumption is extremely high. Does it look good? Seeing Namikaze Minato staring straight at him, Lu Han shook his Hiraishin Kunai towards Namikaze Minato. He knew what Namikaze Minato was thinking. This guy can not only know Rasengan, but also the art of Hiraishin. Who is this guy? Who are you? Namikaze Minato's voice was hoarse. Ask and ask again. Did I say you believe it? Luhan said impatiently. You tell me first, I'll know if I can believe it. Namikaze Minato was still breathing, but his eyes didn't leave Luhan for a moment. He was observing the Hiraishin Kunai in Luhan's hand. This is the technique used by the second-generation Hokage Senju Tobirama to create the Hiraishin technique. I know Hiraishin, I know Rasengan, who do you say I am? I'm also Hiraishin, I'm also Rasengan, I'm Namikaze Minato. Okay. Luhan took it again. In fact, he is also considering whether to confess his identity to Namikaze Minato, which can make him suspicious, and let him report to the current Hokage, but if he confesses first, Namikaze Minato cannot be trusted. Luhan dared to confess his identities to the Kato brothers because those two people were credible, and Luhan was confident to persuade them to keep their secrets for the time being. But Luhan couldn't convince Namikaze Minato. Ask you a question, you answer me first. Luhan said. Namikaze Minato didn't speak, looked at Luhan, obviously waiting for Luhan to answer. Who is Hokage now? Luhan asked. Namikaze Minato's eyes widened and he looked at Luhan with a ghostly expression. What the hell is this problem? What the hell do you need to ask about something that the whole world knows? How long have you been in seclusion? Namikaze Minato guessed. Looks like I asked an idiot question. Luhan was calm, but I still hope you can tell me. Namikaze Minato was silent for a while and said, Sir Sarutobi Hiruzen. Sarutobi Hiruzen, the terrible historical inertia. It's really terrible. Luhan whispered a few words, although he felt surprised, but still understandable, killing Sarutobi Hiruzen. For Uchiha Madara, it didn't make much sense. After all, it was a long time. The door hasn't grown up yet, and the Moon Eye plan can't be implemented yet. So Uchiha Madara's decision to kill or not to kill Sarutobi Hiruzen is just a choice. Luhan also understood that Uchiha Madara captured Sarutobi Hiruzen, most likely to prepare to deal with him, and used it as a killer at a critical moment, but he died unexpectedly, so he released Sarutobi Hiruzen to prevent the destruction of the Konoha village that lost the most powerful enemies and was full of enemies. A balancing strategy. Who are you? Namikaze Minato asked again. I still have questions. Luhan raised his eyebrows and said, I know that you care so much about my identity because I have a relationship with Han Guang, right? Then I ask you, what kind of person do you think Han Guang is? He is a hero for Konoha. You said this before. He is a great ninja. For Konoha, he was born and died. For his wife, he was not afraid of strong enemies. Although the life of Lord Hangguang is short, it is like a morning star under the night sky. For thousands of years, although there is controversy about the excessive killing of Lord Hangguang in the world, I think that Lord Hangguang has never killed anyone in vain, and every killing he makes represents justice. It's alright, it's too numb, don't talk about it. Luhan interrupted Namikaze Minato's endless praise, and then said sternly, I am Han Guang. Chapter 0855_annoying. You fart. You don't want to pretend to be Lord Hangguang. Lord Hangguang is definitely not a villain like you. Your master's skills. I also have a master. You think you can pretend to be Lord Hangguang with only 2 skills? You are delusional. For many years previously, the Uchiha tried to steal the Konoha forbidden technique. Where did you get the Hiraishin's technique? Or, you are a Konoha missing nin, right? If it wasn't for the mask, Luhan really wanted to cover his face with his hands. Damn, I'm just looking for trouble. We all know that people don't believe it, so they have to speak out and scold them. I don't know who to learn from Namikaze Minato's, you fart, mantra. Luhan gave up his plan to take off his mask. He could still imagine that if Namikaze Minato could see his youthful face, Namikaze Minato would definitely transform himself into his own face through transfiguration, and then start spraying himself with your fart. Looking at the excited Namikaze Minato, Luhan felt a little weird. Namikaze Minato's reaction was too excited. Lu Han was very helpful with the emotion of trying to defend Lord Hengguang, but it was Lu Han himself who was sprayed. So wronged, silent and 2 tears. Has Konoha deified me? I didn't expect that one day I would become a great man. Lu Han muttered to himself. He doesn't plan to prove himself to Namikaze Minato anymore. After all, resurrection itself is difficult to explain. If it were Tsunade, she would definitely not care how Lu Han was resurrected. She confirmed Lu Han's identity and would not. There are so many questions, but other people are different. They will ask the bottom line, and if there is no suitable explanation, they will always be suspicious. A person who has been dead for 10 years and is not dead without a whole body, but who is buried with a body, even the body has turned into bones, how can it be resurrected? Senju Hashirama is not resurrected, Senju Tobarama is not resurrected. Why are you resurrected? How did you get resurrected? You're a liar. Big liar. Still planning. Information first, then go to Tsunade, and then go to Uchiha Madara to take revenge. As for the trouble that Namikaze Minato may cause, just let him go, anyway, no one will believe it. Forget it. Lu Han sighed and disappeared. Lu Han galloped through the forest, and soon raised his brows. Namikaze Minato is catching up. Lu Han can't get rid of Namikaze Minato at all. This guy has completed his growth. He is at the best age. He has the fastest speed in the world. Lu Han knows the technique of Hiraishin, so can Namikaze Minato, and his research on the technique of Hiraishin is deeper. Master, more comprehensive. Lu Han accelerated. Namikaze Minato also accelerated. He followed behind Lu Han, did not step forward to attack Lu Han, did not say anything, and looked like he was keeping Lu Han away, as if he was angry with Lu Han. After half an hour, Lu Han has come to a small town in the south of Konoha village. This town is more than 100 kilometers away from Konoha village. Affected by the war, it is somewhat depressed, but there are still many people. But there are not many, there are Daiming Palace garrisoned here. Namikaze Minato entered the town with Lu Han. Lu Han found a pub and wanted to find out some news. Namikaze Minato sat at the table at the door and stared at Lu Han. If his eyes could kill, Lu Han would have died 10,000 times. Lu Han had to leave the tavern, then left the town, and continued to run. Namikaze Minato continued to chase. The two met a group of bandits near a small mountain village in the south of the Fire Country. The bandits consisted of a few missing nins with the strength of genin and some samurai, more than 30 people, who had already looted a caravan. The caravan's people have been dead and wounded, and the bandits are sitting on the ground to divide the spoils. There were corpses all over the floor, the smell of blood was thick, and the bandits laughed beside the goods of the caravan. Lu Han killed them all. To be precise, Lu Han killed most of them, and the last 7 or 8 people were killed by Namikaze Minato in 1 second. Namikaze Minato, who had killed everyone, still stared at Lu Han. Lu Han turned around and continued to run. Namikaze Minato continued to chase. After another hour, Lu Han couldn't take it anymore. Annoying. Namikaze Minato obviously has a hole in his head. He knows he can't beat him, so he has to follow him. What's the use of following him? Kunai's kill. Except annoying or annoying. This is harassment. It is a pity that there is no modern court here, and justice cannot be served for Lu Han. In the jungle. Lu Han stopped and turned to look at Namikaze Minato. Who are you? Namikaze Minato asked, staring at Lu Han. Lu Han grinned. I'm your uncle. Instant burst. Lu Han randomly took out a penultimate level sword from his space backpack, and rushed to Namikaze Minato in an instant. The sword light struck Namikaze Minato like a thunderbolt. Namikaze Minato held the kunai back and turned into a shadow, waving the kunai while retreating continuously, connecting with Lu Han's 12 knives. The 13th knife, Lu Han's knife speed increased tenfold. Boom _. Namikaze Minato didn't even have a chance to throw out Hiraishin kunai, so he could only resist Lu Han's attack with Kunwu's hardness. Then he flew out like a cannonball, smashed 5 trees in a row, and bounced back to the ground. Wow, a mouthful of blood. Spray on the grass. If you follow me again, I will hack you to death. Luhan dropped the words, pointed at Namikaze Minato with a knife, and then disappeared again. This time, Namikaze Minato didn't keep up with Luhan. Fear was second, and more importantly. Swordsmanship. Master Hengguang's swordsmanship. It's not right. It may also be the swordsmanship of Lord White Fang. Or the swordsmanship of Lord Taishuo. Lord Taishuo's swordsmanship was inherited by Lord Hengguang. Who is he? Who is he? Quote. Noon, Hokage's office. Sarutobi Hiruzen walked back and forth anxiously in front of the window, frowning tightly, muttering something in his mouth, his voice low. Namikaze Minato is missing. Or it can't be said to be missing. After all, he hasn't seen anyone for a long time, but Sarutobi Hiruzen is very dissatisfied. Namikaze Minato is not back now. The possibility of an accident is extremely low, but the mission has been delayed. Lord Hokage, let's eat something. Uzumaki Arena entered the office with the food box, and after she finished speaking, she saw Sarutobi Hiruzen raise her hand impatiently, meaning not to eat. Bang! The door was slammed open and a pale Namikaze Minato rushed into the office. Lord Hokage, there is an important situation. Chapter 0856 Sarutobi Hiruzen's suspicion. When Sarutobi Hiruzen saw Namikaze Minato's appearance, he suddenly changed color, not because of what Namikaze Minato said, but by looking at his face, looking at his blood. This is an injury, although it is not a serious injury. Otherwise Namikaze Minato would not be able to move freely, but he was actually injured. It's none of your business, let's go out. Sarutobi Hiruzen said, looking at Uzumaki Arena. Although Uzumaki Arena is a Jinchuriki column force from Kyuubi, Nine Tails, she has a simple personality. Although her talent is not bad, she has Jonin strength at the age of 18, but she is not a high-level Konoha after all. There are many things that she cannot know. Yes, my lord, Uzumaki Arena replied obediently, and gave Namikaze Minato a worried look before going out. Only Sarutobi Hiruzen and Namikaze Minato were left in the office. Let's talk. Sarutobi Hiruzen walked under the table behind the desk and tapped on the table. I met a man. At that time I suspected that he was a spy from another country, and he was very powerful. Namikaze Minato began to tell, starting from meeting Uchiha Shisui. After that, 30 miles away, I tried to catch up with him. He actually knew the Rasengan technique, and his power was not inferior to that of the Rasengan cast by Lord Hengguang. After that, I have been following him. Hiraishin. Sarutobi Hiruzen listened quietly. Even if Namikaze Minato mentioned Rasengan, he didn't have any special reaction. Rasengan is an A-level ninjutsu with a high level of training, but the operation principle is very simple. Unlike other ninjutsu, it also requires a hand seal. Chakra has a special running route in the meridians. These are all unique, but Rasengan, the only change is on hand, all in the light. This has led to some geniuses, as long as they have the heart to observe and try to cultivate, they may succeed in cultivation. This is a technique that is difficult to practice, but has a simple and straightforward operation principle. Therefore, there are other people who can do this kind of art. Sarutobi Hiruzen is not surprised at all. Namikaze Minato became Rasengan in a year without anyone teaching, and cultivated this art to a very high level, and replaced others. Even if the talent is not as good as Namikaze Minato, it takes a little more time to learn. Just that very few people seem to value Rasengan, so Sarutobi Hiruzen has never heard of it. Everyone learns Rasengan like Namikaze Minato, but never heard of it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Sarutobi Hiruzen is calm, Rasengan only. But when Namikaze Minato talks about Hiraishin, he can't be calm anymore. What did you say? Sarutobi Hiruzen stood up suddenly, his face changed with shock. He knows the technique of Hiraishin. Namikaze Minato repeated, his face very solemn. I observed the kunai he used, and the above technique is exactly the same as that used by Senju Hashirama and Hengguang-sama. it is the foundation. The technique. Sarutobi Hiruzen's face changed and changed. The art of Hiraishin has been leaked. This just doesn't make sense. The technique of Hiraishin will never be deduced and practiced without the practice secrets. There is no possibility. Even the Uchiha ninja can see the chakra movement in the caster's body with the ability of Sharingan insight. Possibly stealing. Because the technique of Hiraishin is divided into two parts, the fighting technique is one part, and the induction and instant body is another part. If you want to learn the art of Hiraishin, you must have a secret. You escaped back. Sarutobi Hiruzen thought for a long time before turning to Namikaze Minato again. No. Namikaze Minato shook his head, the corners of his mouth curved in bitterness. He wounded me and let me come back, and he said. What? He said he was Lord Hongguang. Silence. There was no sound in the office. Namikaze Minato's face was very complicated, while Sarutobi Hiruzen's expression was blank, but his eyes flashed. He remembered that Anbu reported to him last night that someone appeared at the Tomb of Heroes in the back mountain, posing as Cold Light, but was caught by someone familiar with Cold Light. Ninja debunked. It's him. It must be one person. It is impossible for ninjas posing as Cold Light to appear one after another in a short period of time. Sarutobi Hiruzen's face gradually became cloudy and uncertain. He suddenly felt that this matter was very difficult. There were small thieves pretending to be big people. This happened often, and it was possible to deceive ignorant people, but not those who were famous and informative. But if this little thief pretends to be Hongguang, but also master Hiraishin and Rasengan, it's really troublesome. Lord Hokage, remember that Uchiha Leiyang stole Konoha's forbidden technique before he planned the rebellion. Could it be that he got Hiraishin's practice method and passed it on? Namikaze Minato asked, guessing. Sarutobi Hiruzen glanced at Namikaze Minato and said nothing. Naturally, he wouldn't tell Namikaze Minato that Uchiha Leiyang never stole the Konoha forbidden technique at all. Everything was a shitpot that Konoha's executives had negotiated with Uchiha Leiyang, so that he could kill him. Hongguang's die-hard loyalists should be damned. Who exactly spread the art of Hiraishin? Sarutobi Hiruzen thought to himself. He didn't think that it was really Cold Light, like nonsense. Let's not talk about whether Hongguang can survive. Even if he can, why should Hongguang hide his head and show his tail? Just swaggeringly revealing your identity in Konoha, acting secretly, and saying that he is Hongguang, naturally he is a thief with a conspiracy. Sarutobi Hiruzen pondered over the possibility of Hiraishin's technique leaking out, and this possibility is not impossible. Because some people in Konoha are able to come into contact with the Konoha forbidden technique. Could it be? Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes flashed, and he raised his hand to Namikaze Minato. You go first, take care of your injuries, and then I'll leave these things to Anbu. After Namikaze Minato left, Sarutobi Hiruzen sat back on the chair, tapped the table with his fingers subconsciously, and was silent for a long time. Leakage of Hiraishin's technique than someone pretending to be cold. The former can only mean that someone is going to be detrimental to Konoha, and the latter means that there is something wrong with Konoha. This is the most terrifying. No matter how strong the fortress is, once there is a problem inside, it will fall apart. Someone. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked up suddenly. Lord Hokage. A shadow appeared in the corner. Call Orochimaru over here. Chapter 0857_call. Konoha Police Force, Police Building. Luhan came again. He came to see Uchiha Makoto. When Luhan first came to this world, Uchiha Makoto was just a little girl. Now, the 27-year-old Uchiha Makoto is already a charming woman. Luhan still has some special feelings. After all, Uchiha Makoto almost married him back then. If Luhan hadn't died suddenly 10 years ago, Uchiha Makoto could really have been his third wife. However, no if. And Luhan felt that Uchiha Makoto was not doing well. Police building interrogation room. Of the businessman, Bajan, is not over yet. This guy has pleaded not guilty, and his legs have been broken. Although it can be cured, ordinary ninjas can't bear this kind of injury, let alone talk about an ordinary businessman like him. The interrogation method of the Uchiha tribe can be said to be simple and rude, which is also related to Basan's identity. If it is a ninja interrogation, it may be even more cruel. Of course, the Uchiha clan are not wronging good people, they have already mastered conclusive evidence. In the interrogation room, the seriously injured businessman Basan climbed under the chair, looking like he was about to die. Uchi Namikaze Flag and Uchiha Makoto as interrogators, have spent a morning with this guy. Basan just pleaded not guilty. Uchi Namikaze Flag who injured him is already very impatient. If it weren't for Uchiha Makoto here, he would have closed the case long ago now. Ask a fart, just chop it off. Luhan had been listening outside the door for a while, and gradually understood Basan's crime. This guy married a ninja who was wounded and disabled on the battlefield. This ninja was younger than him, but because of his disability, his appearance was very ordinary, and it was difficult to find a good marriage, so he married an ordinary person and gave out all of his own. Save up and do business with Bajan. As a result, a disabled ninja named Water Fragrance died violently a week ago. The Konoha Police Department has mastered conclusive evidence and determined that Basan killed his disabled wife in order to marry him. A little lover raised in a house. The case is very bloody. It's nothing more than a man who is good at rhetoric and married a disabled female ninja for money. After suddenly becoming rich, his heart was spent. His wife was a ninja, and he could not marry a second wife, so he killed him. Poisoned his wife. Bajan pleaded not guilty. Because he knew that as long as he confessed, he would be sentenced to death. Makoto, Sama, or else. Uchi Namikaze Flag tilted his head and whispered to Uchiha Makoto, making a gesture, meaning to close the case. Just an ordinary person, even if he pleads not guilty, no one will say anything if he is hacked to death, it just doesn't fit the trial process. Uchiha Makoto's patience also seemed to be exhausted, and he was about to speak. Bitch. You slut. Ha ha ha, Makoto-sama, do you really take yourself as an adult? What about your lovers? Beat me up to make me confess. Shameless. You scum of the Uchiha clan. Man Basan, who was covered in blood, began to curse again. He was deliberately provoking Uchiha Makoto. Because he knew that Uchiha Makoto was the master. Although there have been rumors about her messing with men over the years, she has a soft personality and is known to enforce the law fairly. This is also the reason why he died. Insulting Uchiha Makoto is an aggressive strategy. If Uchiha Makoto convicts him directly, it will confirm his insulting words. As long as he is not directly convicted, put in prison, and then secretly spends money to operate it, there may be a chance of survival. However, he miscalculated one thing. That is the temper of the Uchiha ninja. Shameless bitch. Basan's insulting voice stopped abruptly, and kunai had been pinned to his forehead. Uchi Namikaze Flag then got up from behind the interrogation table and gave Uchiha Makoto a salute. Kuwu was lost by him. He's had enough, this kind of person, kill him. Close the case. Uchiha Makoto didn't say much, sighed, and got up and walked out. Uchi Namikaze looked at the back of Uchiha Makoto leaving with a complicated expression. When Uchiha Makoto was about to go out, he couldn't help but say, Makoto-sama, why do you care about those rumors? It's not true. Uchiha Makoto paused while pressing the door's hand, pushed the door and walked out without saying anything. The dark corridor, Uchiha Makoto looked tired and sad. Standing in the darkness in the corner, Luhan watched her walk past the corner and couldn't help shouting, Makoto. Uchiha Makoto stopped, froze for a moment, blinked, and then suddenly turned around to look into the corner. Hokage building, Hokage office. Teacher, you are looking for me. Orochimaru stood at the desk, expressionless. Yeah, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who seemed to be busy reviewing the information, responded with a nasal voice, put the scroll aside, raised his head and said solemnly, Minato was injured in an accident just now. Is it serious? Orochimaru said coldly. Need me to help him heal? Orochimaru's price for treating an injury is usually another person's life. It's not serious. Sarutobi Hiruzen shook his head, his eyes fixed on Orochimaru. That's it, the man who wounded Minato appeared in the village this morning, after Minato found him. And Orochimaru's character became colder and colder. Listening to Sarutobi Hiruzen's description, his expression did not change at all, even when Sarutobi Hiruzen said that the person who pretended to be cold light knew the art of Hiraishin. What do you think? Sarutobi Hiruzen finally asked. Let Anbu find him, Orochimaru said coldly. And then what? Sarutobi Hiruzen asked. What then? Orochimaru asked rhetorically. The office suddenly fell into an eerie silence. Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes were like electricity, Orochimaru's eyes were cold, and their eyes were facing each other. The two seemed to be deadlocked, and even the air was a bit cold. Orochimaru understands what Sarutobi Hiruzen means. Sarutobi Hiruzen suspects that Orochimaru has not been 2 days in a row. Someone has used the Konoha secret technique, and Konoha has disappeared in recent years. Both of these things are related to Orochimaru, but Sarutobi Hiruzen has no definite evidence. Chapter 0858_Musashi. At Sarutobi Hiruzen, you will feel extremely terrifying pressure, but this pressure is useless to Orochimaru. Orochimaru knows what he has done, and he knows what he has not done, so. In fact, his heart is calm. It's all right, Sarutobi Hiruzen finally said, and the suppressed atmosphere in the office suddenly loosened. Orochimaru turned around and walked out, cold and faint like a ghost. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Orochimaru's leaving figure. This was his most valued disciple, and even deliberately passed on the position of Hokage to him, but Sarutobi Hiruzen's heart is extremely complicated. After Orochimaru went out, the office fell silent again. Sarutobi Hiruzen clenched his fist violently, then slowly let it go. His face was cloudy for a while, and then he said, "Can you see anything?" There is a dark cloud in his heart. He hides his emotions. He is perfect. I can't see through his thoughts. A hoarse voice sounded in the office. The figure came out of the corner. Judging from this person's height and body shape alone, he is likely to be a teenager who is only 12 or 13 years old. Haven't found it yet. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at the mask humanely. No, the masked man shook his head, his voice hoarse with a little more depth. Except for 6 of the 27 people who were missing before and after, they were definitely murdered by outsiders, and the other 21, I can confirm, were from the village. Humans do it, but Orochimaru is very vigilant. Every time I follow him, I get lost, and I almost got caught by him once. I didn't find his lab. I will find it. Are you sure your inference is true? I'm sure. Very, very sure. Yeah. Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't ask any more. He believed in this person's innate talent, and then paused and said, although I really hope you are wrong, but I want results, I want exact evidence, and about the Hiraishin leak, it's up to you two. As ordered. Go ahead. The masked man walked into the corner. Musashi. Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly stopped him again. What? The masked man known as Musashi stopped. Don't let me down, Sarutobi Hiruzen said. Oh, trust me, Musashi laughed. Konoha Police Building. Dark passage outside the underground interrogation room. Uchiha Makoto suddenly turned to look at the corner. The corner was empty. Uchiha Makoto was stunned there, and soon laughed at himself again, shook his head, and muttered, how is it possible? How could it be the voice of that person? That person has been dead for 10 years, and Uchiha Makoto felt that he was so tired that he had auditory hallucinations. Uchiha Makoto turned and left. It wasn't until Uchiha Makoto walked away that Luhan appeared again in the corner and let out a faint sigh. He just couldn't help calling Makoto, and then he felt that he was too rash. Now stop Makoto, and then. He didn't know what had happened in these 10 years. He didn't know what kind of person Makoto had become. He didn't know anything. Before leaving the police building, Luhan secretly glanced at Makoto again. Makoto was asking for leave from the squad leader of the Konoha Police Department. She looked very tired and haggard, and was going to rest for a few days. In the next few days, Luhan used his feet to walk all over Konoha, except for those places that are heavily guarded, such as the Hokage building and other places. It's listening. The longest place he goes to is restaurants, where people talk a lot, and it's easiest to inquire about news. On the fourth day, Luhan left Konoha once and went to the town closest to Konoha to inquire about news. On the fifth day of Luhan's resurrection, he returned to Konoha again. 5 days, he has already inquired about the current situation of Konoha, as well as the major events that happened in those 10 years, as well as the situation of some important tasks. Tsunade and Hyuga Luo Ning left Konoha 9 years ago, and then Uzumaki Kushina also gone. Uchiha Leiyang was killed because of a rebellion, White Fang committed suicide, the Third Ninja War broke out 2 years ago, and the current Anbu captain is Hitaki Teishuo. Another interesting piece of news is that Sarutobi Hiruzen rebuilt the route. A year ago, Sarutobi Hiruzen formed a death squad within Konoha Anbu. This unit is still named after route, and its nature is very similar to the route. Now the leader of this route organization is said to be a guy named Musashi. Musashi, this is obviously a code name, not a real name. No one knows Musashi's true identity. About Uchiha Makoto, Luhan also knew about it. The past 10 years, Uchiha Makoto's life can be said to be terrible, especially after Uchiha Fugaku came to power. She was pushed into the abyss. Legend has it that she fucks with men, and her private life is chaotic. Many ninjas know that they are throwing dirty water when they say this, but more people think it is true because the news is spread from within the Uchiha clan. Some people say that any man who comes close to Uchiha Makoto will die wrongly. It is said that she murdered for money and took the wealth of many Uchiha ninjas. In short, Uchiha Makoto is now in Konoha and is already synonymous with the Sasori woman, the lascivious snake, and that's why she's not doing well. Uchiha Makoto is 27 years old and unmarried, and has a lot to do with these rumors. 3 people become tigers, which can really destroy a person, even a ninja. But Luhan understood that Uchiha Makoto was definitely not that kind of person. She was hacked. Konoha 37 years, February 20th, morning. An independent courtyard very close to the gathering place of the Uchiha people, Uchiha Makoto, who was on vacation, was sitting on a rocking chair, holding a little black cat in her arms. With a sad expression, she looked lonely. Makoto. A cordial greeting came from behind. Uchiha Makoto subconsciously picked her ears. She felt that her auditory hallucinations were getting worse. Makoto. The voice came again. Uchiha Makoto froze, then suddenly got up and turned around. Luhan and Makoto looked at each other and gave her a smile. Chapter 0859 Makoto, long time no see. Luhan was wearing a black robe with a fat kabuto cap on his head, but he did not wear a mask. After investigation, he learned about what happened to Uchiha Makoto. Luhan felt that she was a trustworthy person, so he didn't want to hide her identity from Uchiha Makoto. Uchiha Makoto was stunned, staring wide-eyed at Luhan who was smiling all over his face. Tears quickly filled his big and bright eyes, and then the tears flowed down. Luhan walked to Uchiha Makoto's side, reached out and stroked Uchiha Makoto's cheek, and wiped Uchiha Makoto's tears with his thumb. Uchiha Makoto tilted his head, pressed Luhan's palm, and closed his eyes in tears. Is this a dream? Uchiha Makoto whimpered, shaking slightly, rubbing Luhan's palm with his cheek, as if afraid of waking up from the dream. Trace of guilt flashed across Luhan's face. He didn't know why he felt guilty, silly girl. Makoto took this as a dream, so he showed such affection. Meow. The little black cat on Makoto's lap suddenly turned over and let out a lazy meow. Makoto stopped abruptly, then opened his eyes, and suddenly looked up at Luhan again. This is not a dream. Luhan chuckled softly. Boom underscore. The chair under Uchiha Makoto exploded directly, the sword light appeared, and the sound of breaking through the air was like a ghost howl. At this moment, the weak woman with self-pity and self-mourning turned into a decisive Jonin, who slashed straight at Luhan's neck. Luhan took a step back, the tip of the knife flashed in front of his neck, and it was about to touch the skin of Luhan's neck, and this distance was like a moat to Uchiha Makoto, who was Jonin's strength. When Makoto missed a hit, he turned and jumped back, flashing several times in a row, completely pulling away from Luhan, bowing his waist in a fighting stance, with the horizontal knife in front of him, and Yuhi's eyes staring at Luhan. Cold. Meow. A louder meow followed. That was thrown out by Makoto howled and quickly grew bigger as it rolled in the air. When it landed in front of Makoto, it was already 3 meters high and 5 meters long, with an extremely ferocious expression and a body like a tiger. Leopard, grinning at Lu Hanyan Kiba. It's a ninja. Konoha Police Force Interrogation Squad Leader, Level 30 White Silver Boss, Uchiha Makoto. Makoto became Yuhi's name and stared at Luhan with an almost mad look. Who are you? Makoto's cold voice was dry, as if she hadn't spoken aloud in too long. Luhan raised his hand and touched his nose. Such a familiar question, motherfucker. It is as expected. You dare to impersonate him. Uchiha Makoto bit Kiba, gnashing his teeth. You know. If I call someone, no matter who you are, no matter how strong you are, in Konoha, you will die without a burial. Cough. Luhan coughed lightly and looked at Makoto calmly. I still remember that year, That year you were so tall. Luhan made a very short gesture. You are still cute. Da little loli, asked me for directions at the gate of the ninja school. There are 2 forks in the school. When you are entering the school for the first time, you are confused and can't find the way. You may think that I am a bully. The students who looked more lively asked for directions and only dared to pull the corner of my clothes. I asked you why no one came to take you to school. After all, it was the first time. You said that everyone in the family was very busy. We became friends like this. You are very timid and cry very much, and I often cry. Because Luo Ning always beats me, but I can't beat her. I remember that time, you were sick and insisted on coming to class. I dragged you to skip class together, and we stayed in the woods for an afternoon on the runway. In fact, I didn't tell you, I didn't have the guts to skip class. I dragged you along because I heard that Luo Ning was going to beat me again. I was afraid, but I didn't dare to skip class by myself, so I pulled you in and used you as a shield. Don't be sad, we were all children at that time. Quote. I don't know when you became more and more beautiful and more popular. In fact, I wanted to stay away from you. Because I was too close to you. I was taught many times, but you always come to me, you hurt me, you know. Ha. Quote. When I was 10 and you were 8, you asked me one day what was your dream, and I said, don't be beaten. You laughed at me and said that other boys' dreams were to be Hokage, only mine was my dream. It's because one day I didn't get beaten, I was sad. Not because of the beating, but because you laughed at me, and then you comforted me, and you secretly gave me sweet pastries, saying that they were stolen from home. Let me I keep it a secret. I remember one exam, I did poorly in the exam, they all laughed at me as an idiot, the tail of the crane in the class. I left the school crying, you found me to comfort me, I asked your grades, you behaved very disappointed, seems to be worse than me. At that time, I was heartless and sighed with you and encouraged each other. At that time, it was the first time that you called me Brother Han. Later I heard that you actually did well in the test, but in order to comfort me, I said it was bad. When I was 12 years old, I was almost killed by Uchiha Fugaku because I was too close to you. It was Tsunade who saved me. When I got home, I saw you waiting for me, and your eyes were swollen from crying. Well, Uchiha Fugaku came after that. You panicked and wanted me to escape through the back window. Clang clang, 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 clang. The sharp tachi fell to the ground, bounced a few times, and slipped to the feet of the big cat before it stopped. Uchiha Makoto covered his mouth with his hands. His eyes were widened to ultimate, tears were flowing, and the whole person looked surprised and happy, and a little scared. Makoto, long time no see. Luhan opened his arms to Uchiha Makoto with a perfect smile. Uchiha Makoto looked at Luhan and just looked at Luhan like that. Tears kept coming, she shook her head, she backed away. She couldn't believe that he who had been dead for 10 years could reappear in front of her eyes. She was still afraid that it was a dream. She was afraid that the dream would shatter, but she believed in those eyes, the eyes would not deceive. No matter how incredible, how sensational, the truth is already in sight. Uchiha Makoto slowly put down her hands. She wanted to ask something, but didn't. Brother Han. Makoto finally moved, and she threw herself into Luhan's arms. Chapter 0860 Are you really a good person? Makoto's small courtyard is very close to the gathering place of the Uchiha tribe, but it is also separated by a forest belt nearly 100 meters wide. In fact, she should live in the Uchiha tribe's mansion, but because of those rumors, because some members of the Uchiha tribe she had to move out because of the unkindness of the big man. Also because of those rumors, there were no other houses around her house, and no one wanted to be her neighbor. Therefore, no matter what happens in this small courtyard, as long as there is no big movement like an explosion, no one will come to check it. In fact, even if there is a big movement like an explosion, it does not mean that there is a problem. After all, Uchiha Makoto is to cultivate, and she will always make noise when she cultivates. Therefore, generally speaking, as long as she does not issue a warning signal, the Uchiha ninja will also I won't run over to see what's going on. Uchiha Makoto had already believed Luhan. Eyes will not deceive people, that kind of familiar and kind gaze. Uchiha Makoto believes that he will not admit mistakes, and Luhan said some things that only the two of them knew when they were children. This is the most powerful evidence. Although there are still many questions. For example, a person who has been dead for 10 years, why does he suddenly appear? He is not dead, or resurrection. But to Uchiha Makoto, none of these questions mattered. She doesn't need to go to the bottom of it. For her, seeing Han Guang again, the misery of these years is nothing, and no one can understand the position of this man named Han in her heart. In the yard, a black cat as tall as a leopard that was more than 1 meter tall was picking up the pieces of the rocking chair. It took a piece of broken wood in its mouth, walked to the trash can, and threw it in. It was cleaned up after many times. It looked dissatisfied because it felt out of favor. Inside the hut, the long tree covered with the blanket collapsed, and Luhan sat down and held Uchiha Makoto's soft body in his arms. Actually, he didn't want to hold it like this, because it was a little uncomfortable to suddenly become so close, but Uchiha Makoto pulled his clothes. She didn't let go. It was inappropriate for her not to hold. I was resurrected. Although it sounds bizarre, but that's it. 5 days ago, I crawled out of the grave. This is very complicated. You can understand resurrection as a kind of art. Just like Konoha also has the art that can revive people as impure world reincarnation, and I also master a kind of art that can revive people, but the conditions for resurrection. Uchiha Makoto raised his lush jade fingers to block Luhan's mouth, shook his head at Luhan, and muttered, "Don't explain, don't explain." She lowered her head again and nestled in Luhan's arms, as if enjoying the feeling now. A warm feeling of, time is quiet, fills the room. I've wronged you. Luhan stroked Makoto's hair, feeling unspeakably uncomfortable. He could feel the pain in Uchiha Makoto's heart. I asked, is it Uchiha Fugaku? I thought he would be a prodigal son. Why would he spread rumors about you? A coldness flashed in Luhan's eyes. It's not him. Makoto whispered, it's some people around him, those ninjas who had become marginalized people. After Uchiha Fugaku became the clan leader, they all became the senior members of the clan. They wanted to kill me, but Fugaku, I feel that the matter of the third uncle has nothing to do with me. Those people slander me because I am the closest person to the third uncle. The third uncle died, but I am still alive. There are some things that Fugaku can't stop. In order to prevent me injured further, he appointed me as the leader of the torture squad, and some rights. Also good. Makoto's third uncle, Uchiha Layong, who was killed because of the rebellion. Seems that Makoto has a good impression of the current Uchiha Fugaku. Uchiha Makoto's current misery is caused by the group of people around Fugaku, because these people are the hardcore cronies of Uchiha Henshin back then. After Henshin died, Layong took over, and they were excluded from the fringes of the Uchiha clan. Those who were originally high-ranking people suddenly became high-level thugs without power. They naturally resented Uchiha Layong. Layong was dead and involved a lot, but Uchiha Makoto survived and naturally became a punching bag. Clan cannibalism. Uchiha clan has clan rules. Konoha has laws. They dare not really do what to Uchiha Makoto, can't move a finger, so many eyes staring at it, splashing dirty water, maybe it's the only thing they have method. Will Fugaku still pester you? Luhan asked unwillingly, is he really a good person? I haven't spoken for 3 years. The last time, was at a police meeting. Uchiha Makoto whispered, it's his wife, Kaon, who sometimes comes to comfort me. Uchiha Kaon, Uchiha Fugaku's current wife, Uchiha Itachi's mother. I'm back, everything will be fine, trust me. Luhan hugged Makoto tightly. I believe. Makoto also hugged Luhan's waist tightly. Don't tell anyone about me, I'm going to take revenge, the guy who killed me back then, I'm going to find him. A very powerful bastard who can't leak any information. I won't say it, Uchiha Makoto replied. Squeak _. The downward opening window of the room suddenly swayed, and the little black cat jumped in, jumped on the table, then jumped on the chair, looking at Luhan curiously, but Luhan didn't care about it, but it suddenly said, are you Han Guang? It turned out to be a woman's voice, mother's. Luhan frowned suddenly, and his eyes turned to the little black cat like electricity. This guy is a high-level intelligent ninja. The little black cat suddenly became cold, and the terrifying pressure rushed to its body. It fell directly from the chair and lay on the ground, its body trembling uncontrollably. Luhan's killing intent was not something he could bear. Don't hurt her. Uchiha Makoto hurriedly poked his head out of Luhan's arms, grabbed Luhan's hand and pressed it. She understood what Luhan was worried about, and begged, she is very good and won't talk nonsense. Well, rascal, I'm not afraid of you. The little black cat stood up forcefully, looking like he would rather not bend. Luhan raised his brows, and when he saw Uchiha Makoto's eyes, his heart softened. Where did the ninja beasts come from? Chapter 0861_secret. It was given to me by Ogura-sama. Ogura-sama, she has passed away. As Uchiha Makoto spoke, his body trembled slightly, and then he began to cry, sobbing, they are all dead. What? Who? Luhan hurriedly lowered his head and wiped Makoto's tears. Makoto seemed to remember something in the past and was very sad. The people around the third uncle. After the third uncle died, they just. Uchiha Makoto began to tell a tragic story. Or because of Uchiha Layong died on the night of the rebellion. 37 people of the Uchiha tribe died that night. Uchiha Layong and his cronies all died in battle. After that, there were still some people who fought with Uchiha. People close to Layong are still alive. Some of them escaped the disaster because of their missions abroad, some were relatives of Uchiha Layong's die-hard cronies, and even Uchiha Layong's direct relatives, but because of their lack of strength, they did not rank at the top. These people did not die on the night of the rebellion, but after Uchiha Fugaku came to power, the top Uchiha tribe changed their blood, and the group of people who followed Uchiha Fugaku up began a frantic revenge. Uchiha Ogura was Uchiha Layong's cousin. She was 50 years old when she died. She was forced to die by the people around Fugaku. Okura knew that he couldn't escape the knife and didn't want to die in humiliation, so she chose suicide. Before committing suicide, she gave all her property to Uchiha Makoto, including the black cat ninja beast. 1 year after the night of the Uchiha rebellion, there were 8 ninjas who committed suicide in the Uchiha tribe, and 15 people died inexplicably. Just like Kokura, many of them died in the period before their death. Own property was given to Uchiha Makoto. They all had a premonition of their own death and arranged the funeral in advance, but some committed suicide and some were killed. Luhan suddenly remembered the gossip about Makoto, not only that she was looking for messing with men, but also that she made money and murdered her life, and took away the wealth of many people. Now it makes sense. Makoto has indeed won a lot of people family wealth, but it was given by those who were forced to death, but was used by people around Fugaku to discredit Makoto. Uchiha Makoto is now the first rich man in the Uchiha clan, very rich. But they still dare not touch Makoto. Because Makoto's identity is too sensitive, Uchiha Leiyang's niece, Fugaku also pursued her. In fact, Makoto was not killed, and it has a lot to do with Luhan. Although Hangguang died, his prestige still exists, and his relatives spread throughout Konoha and Makoto. Rumors of an affair with Luhan have been around for a long time. It is only natural that someone secretly takes care of Makoto. That group of guys. Luhan suddenly laughed, a bit hideous. He understands one thing. That is, Fugaku, who was supported by Sarutobi Hiruzen to become the patriarch, has poor control over the Uchiha clan. He didn't rely on prestige, record, and strength to ascend to the top, but was forced up. What Sarutobi Hiruzen considered was that Uchiha Fugaku was Uchiha Yokoyama's son, and he was the core of another faction besides the Leiyang faction. But what Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't expect was that the young Fugaku couldn't hold back at all. Those guys, the high-level Konoha around Uchiha Fugaku, they are the real controllers of the Uchiha clan. They were by Uchiha Fugaku's side. In this world, even if there were many changes, they were still there. After all, this group of people came to Fugaku's side because of Yokoyama's relationship. Rise. They are the group of ninjas who wanted to rebel when Konoha was more than 50 years old in the original book. It's them who pushed Fugaku to the extreme, and would rather destroy the Uchiha clan than the Konoha. They are the true ambitious martial artist of the Uchiha tribe. It's okay to die, it's a clean death. Luhan suddenly felt angry and relieved. He had long thought about changing some things, including the genocide of the Uchiha tribe. Now, he finally made a decision. Let it go. These damned guys, they are the cancer of the Uchiha tribe and the cancer of the Konoha. If they really want to rebel, they really want to die, and they force Fugaku to let his son kill himself and the people of the Light tribe. Then die. 3 uncles shouldn't die, Uchiha Makoto said suddenly. Huh. Luhan looked down at Makoto and stroked her hair. The 3rd uncle didn't rebel, he will never rebel. Uchiha Makoto said with great certainty, and then he hesitated, but the 3rd uncle is indeed planning something. I don't know, the 3rd uncle doesn't tell me, no involve me. As a result, he died suddenly. There was no rebellion at all that night, just those people around Fugaku, and some people I didn't know, with masks, they killed the 3rd uncle. Oh, Luhan was stunned. In fact, Luhan is not surprised that Uchiha Leiyang will betray. This guy is too belligerent and has a strong desire for power, so he may betray. Of course, this is not absolute. It is also a possibility that he does not rebel. I don't know, that night. I might have been killed, but someone rescued me in the chaos, took me away, and let me go back the next morning. Who? I didn't see his face, he hid his identity from me, but that look is familiar to me. Who is it? Master White Fang. Before Luhan died, Uchiha Makoto actually came out of Hongguang's house, and White Fang was often there, going back and forth. Even if the two didn't have much contact or even said a word, they would be familiar with each other's words and deeds. Luhan's expression froze. So complicated. Seems like a conspiracy. Why did Leiyang die? Why did Hatake Tsukumo hide his identity and save Makoto? With his strength enough to stop the Uchiha rebellion, why did he just take Makoto away regardless? What was Lei Yong planning before his death? Also, White Fang, he,'s dead too. It was Sarutobi Hiruzen who wanted to kill Lord Lei Yong, so Lord Lei Yong died. The little black cat said suddenly. Chapter 0862 decided to rob a tomb. The little black cat obviously knows something. It used to be the ninja beast of Uchiha Kokura, and Kokura was the person next to Lei Yong. The ninja beast is a more reliable existence than a human being, because most ninja beasts have been born since childhood. With the master by his side, no one can turn against this ninja beast. Therefore, many times, the master will not avoid the ninja beast he raised when talking about confidential matters with others. What else do you know? Lu Han squinted at the little black cat. Lord Lei Yong once said that Sarutobi Hiruzen had betrayed Konoha, he colluded with outsiders. The little black cat shook his head and said, I have occasionally heard Lord Lei Yong and the owner of Kokura say a few words. Lord Lei Yong said that he was very indignant, and said, Sarutobi Hiruzen is sorry for Lord Hangwang. Quote. Betraying Konoha, colluding, I'm sorry Hangwang, Lu Han whispered several times, but couldn't analyze anything. Makoto doesn't lie. Neither did the little black cat, because it was Makoto who spoke about the past first. So, Uchiha Lei Yong's death, there is a big problem. And from what Makoto said, White Fang rescued her that night without saying anything or revealing her identity, and let Makoto go the next day. Obviously, White Fang knew the inside story. But White Fang is dead. Sister Makoto, are you in the room? There was a sudden greeting from the courtyard outside, a soft female voice, followed by footsteps approaching. Yes, yes, Makoto responded to the doctor unnaturally. I'll go over there, Lu Han whispered to Makoto, pointed to the kitchen, then got up and disappeared. Squeak. A young woman dressed in a Japanese-style home group pushed open the door, with a delicate food box hanging on her arm, and behind the woman, followed by a little one, the 4-year-old Uchiha Itachi. And this beautiful woman is Uchiha Itachi's mother, Uchiha Kane. Makoto was fixing her hair, her eyes were Yuhi's, and she smiled unnaturally when she saw the woman entering the door. She was not very good at acting. Auntie, Uchiha obediently saluted Makoto, then pounced on the little black cat, chasing the little black cat around the house. It seems that he does this often, and the little black cat dislikes him very much, impatiently accompany him around the house. Uchiha Shangyan put down the food box, and seeing Makoto haggard and barely smiling, took Makoto's hand very distressed and sat beside her, chatting with nothing to say. It should be comforted. She has already comforted her. She came to see Makoto today, and she had no other purpose, just to talk to Makoto. Makoto was absent-minded and often looked at the kitchen obscurely. She was just thinking about Lu Han, but Shangyan didn't think so. She thought that her clan sister was wronged again. As Fugaku's wife, what happened to Shangyan to Makoto? It was clear that she had been angry and wanted to rehabilitate Makoto, but nothing had changed. Because even his husband, Uchiha Fugaku, the contemporary patriarch of the Uchiha clan, has little control over the big men in the clan who hold real power. Makoto's life is not easy, and so is Fugaku. Uchiha Fugaku can be said to be the most failed patriarch in the history of the Uchiha clan. Shangyan's laughter sounded from time to time in the room. She was talking about some interesting things in the village and wanted to make Makoto laugh. Makoto smiled copingly. Shangyan also brought some cakes and ate some with Makoto. Uchiha also ate some greedily and tried to lure the little black cat with the cakes, but the little black cat ignored it and ran into the kitchen. Come out. So, almost 2 hours passed. Shangyan took her son to say goodbye. Makoto escorted her out. After closing the courtyard door, she quickly ran back to the room and rushed into the kitchen, but there was no one. Makoto was a little panicked. She didn't know why she was so panicked. We'll be back. He said he would come at night. The little black cat the size of a palm jumped on Makoto's shoulder, sticking out its tongue. Makoto breathed a sigh of relief, and immediately regained his energy. With a radiant look, He walked out of the kitchen with the little black cat in his arms, and he didn't know what to think. The mountain behind Konoha village, the tomb of heroes deep in the forest. Luhan appeared on the luxuriant tree. His body was hidden in the canopy, his breath was completely restrained, and he looked at the stone tablets in the hero's tomb. Luhan wanted to steal the body. White Fang's body. He wants to resurrect White Fang. And he has already thought of a way to resurrect White Fang. Although the process is very troublesome and takes a long time, it can still be done. The idea of resurrecting White Fang. He regretted the death of White Fang the most. White Fang was a real hero, a peerless powerhouse, and Luhan's best friend. Luhan was hesitant before. After all, White Fang's death was not his responsibility. It's not wrong to save White Fang, but resurrecting White Fang requires 10% of his strength, but it's a big problem. And now, his idea of resurrecting White Fang is even stronger. Because Makoto and the little black cat told him something, let him understand that in the 10 years after his death, many secret things happened in Konoha. These things did not exist in the original work. Luhan could not guess by guessing. If it's an investigation, it's too complicated, too cumbersome, and takes too long. Luhan wanted to know what happened. There is a shortcut to take, and that is White Fang. White Fang was Captain Konoha Anbu when he died. Whatever the truth of his death, he must know the inside story. That is to say, as long as Luhan resurrects White Fang, he can know the secrets of those years. The insight map showed that there were 6 ninjas near the Tomb of Heroes. All of them should be Anbu ninjas. Luhan hid in the tree for a while and then disappeared. Not long after. A loud shout suddenly sounded near the Tomb of Heroes. Be careful. Kai. There is the sound of kunai breaking the air. There were some small disturbances near the Tomb of Heroes. All 6 Anbu ninjas moved. Among them, the 2 closest to the Tomb of Hengguang were attracted to leave. They would not be too far from the Tomb of Heroes, but it was impossible to sit back and watch the gangsters come and go freely. Call. In front of the overgrown tomb, Luhan appeared out of thin air and looked at the words, White Fang's tomb, on the tombstone. Chapter 0863_Gentle Beauty. No one saw Luhan appear here because people were led away, but they will come back soon, and Luhan can't stay here for too long, otherwise he will definitely be seen. Act fast. Luhan took out a Hiraishin kunai, and the easiest way to steal Hatake Tsukumo's body is for Luhan to drive the kunai into the ground, into the coffin, and then go in instantly and put the corpse behind the space. Just as Luhan was about to start, he stopped a little uneasy. There won't be a seal on this tomb, will it? A strong blow to the seal would cause a big movement. Luhan was just guessing, but he had to be careful. With a twinkle in his eyes, the eternal Mangekyo appeared, and immediately began to spin wildly. Sharingan's basic pupil technique, Insight Eye. The Insight Eye is the auxiliary ability of the copy eye. A ninja with Sharingan can use the Insight Eye to capture the details of the ninja's movements, which means that the speed of the opponent's hand seal is slowed down in Sharingan, so that all gestures can be seen clearly, and yes, it can be see each other's meridians and chakra trajectory. In terms of observing the opponent's meridians and chakra's trajectory, Byakugan is the strongest, which is the real perspective. Sharingan is much weaker in this regard, and it is not observed in a perspective way. However, Luhan didn't want to see through it, he just wanted to see if there were curse marks buried in the tomb. Luhan vaguely saw the pattern of the curse seals, and also saw that there were chakras in those curse seals. There is indeed a seal on White Fang's tomb. Luhan frowned slightly and looked up at the other tombs. Most of them were unsealed. There were a total of 8 seals. Among them, Luhan's own tomb, Hengguang tomb, had the most seals. The incantation pattern on Hengguang's tomb is densely packed like a fine fishing net, and its seal strength is at least 10 times that of White Fang's tomb. The seal is one way. Luhan's heart moved, and he muttered. He speculates that this is a one-way seal because he came out of the tomb of Hengguang in an instant without encountering any obstacles. That is to say, the seal on the tomb of Hengguang can prevent people from destroying it from the outside, but it cannot prevent people from destroying it from the outside. Inside out. It was originally used to prevent tomb robbery, so can the dead still climb out of the tomb? So the one-way seal is also normal. After all, the two-way seal is too complicated. Trouble. Luhan glanced at the insight map again. Anbu Ninja had already turned into Yuhi's point, and was about to return to the vicinity of the Tomb of Heroes. Luhan thought about it, and disappeared. Tomb raiding during the day is no ordinary trouble. There is a seal. If Luhan forcibly destroys it, the movement will be big. It is really not easy to steal White Fang's body quietly, so Luhan is leaving for the time being. He plans to come back at night. Not long after, another place in the forest. Luhan appeared out of thin air, and then a figure flickered beside him and greeted Luhan, Lord Hengguang. This man is the same height and body shape as Luhan, wearing a black robe and a mask, dressed in a mysterious way, but faceless. Just now, it was the faceless who led Anbu's people away. Luhan waved the faceless man into the space backpack, and then ran back to Konoha village. He planned to go to the ninja school to inquire about the news. He planned to go to Makoto's place at night. Originally, the reunion with Makoto was just an interlude before the official action for Luhan. What he mainly does now is to inquire about news, about Tsunade, about Uchiha Madara. The world is very big and the sea of people is vast. If Luhan went to Tsunade directly and didn't even have any information, then he might not be able to find it in a few months. He heard that Tsunade was hidden because she was too rich to be taken by some people. After staring at it, the so-called sharpening a knife does not cut wood by mistake, and Luhan is not short of the time to inquire about the news in the past few days. Time flies. At night, Makoto's small courtyard. The house was full of aroma, and in the clean and tidy hall, under the candlelight, the square table was filled with all kinds of food. The dishes were plentiful, with a total of 18 dishes. Makoto moved the dressing table to the corner of the hall and sat in front of the mirror on the dressing table. She had put on a very girly pink Yuhi dress, and was looking in the mirror to draw her eyebrows, sometimes in a daze, as if thinking about something happy thing, with a sweet smile on the corners of his mouth. Does it look good? Makoto turned around suddenly, made a cute gesture to the little black cat on the chair, and smiled softly. I'm a cat, I'm a cat. A cat. The little black cat couldn't remember how many times Makoto asked himself, emphasizing his identity again. I'm a cat, do you understand? Aesthetics is the same as you stupid humans. Different. You're stupid. Makoto rolled his eyes at the little black cat and looked in the mirror happily. It's beautiful. A voice with a smile suddenly sounded in another dark corner. Yeah. Makoto stood up all of a sudden, exclaimed and covered his mouth with his hand, and immediately put his hand down again, with a graceful appearance, and subconsciously stroked his hair and hung it behind his ear. Luhan walked out of the darkness, glanced at Makoto with a smile, walked to the dining table, sniffed and said, good fragrance, prepared for me. Today's market has a new batch of dishes, and it's cheaper than before. Makoto became more reserved, some were not very good at speaking, and seemed a little nervous. Ha, I believe you. Luhan smiled, and sat down without being polite. He picked up his chopsticks and said, let's eat. Dinner, very warm. Dressed up, Makoto is like a gentle and beautiful woman in the painting, with a soft voice and a smile on the corner of her mouth. She has both the attentiveness of a wife and the shyness of a girl, even though she is 27 years old. The first time she served Luhan with vegetables, her hands were shaking a little, but it became more natural after that. After dinner. Do you want to rest? I've boiled the water, so I can take a shower. Makoto said while picking up the tableware. His cheeks flushed Yuhi, and his heartbeat was much faster. There is a guest room here, but Makoto didn't say that Luhan would stay in the guest room. I still have something to do. Luhan got up and said. Makoto's face changed, and a deep disappointment flashed in his eyes. Rest well. Luhan blinked at Makoto, stretched out his hand and deliberately rubbed Makoto's hair in a mess, causing Makoto to be jealous, and then he left. Straight to the mountain behind Konoha. Chapter 0864 Are you waiting for someone? The wind is whistling, the trees are rustling, and in the forest under the night, countless branches of trees are swaying, like ghosts. The Tomb of Heroes is dark. This tomb group is hidden in the depths of the forest. The surrounding trees are particularly tall and can be called towering trees. The huge canopy of tens of meters in diameter is connected together, covering the Tomb of Heroes. Are still 6 Anbu ninjas guarding here. There is really no need for too many people to guard the tomb, because it is meaningless. After all, there are very few people who can rob the tomb, and those who can test the corpse are rare in the entire ninja world. And if you want to destroy the cemetery and want to discuss Konoha, it is useless to keep a legion here. The cemetery is too easy to destroy, and a few dead soldiers can do it. Therefore, the 6 Anbu ninjas are here, and the greater significance is to shock and deter. Luhan came again, and repeated his old tricks. This time, he let the faceless man take action, attacked the Konoha Anbu ninja actively, and then fled. With the faceless man's strength, it was too easy to kill all 6 of them, but he didn't. It was necessary, so when Luhan gave the faceless man an order, lead them away, wound them, and hold them back as much as possible. Anyway, it is impossible for the faceless to be killed. Even if Luhan gave him an order not to kill, he could not be killed because he was restrained. Luhan appeared in front of White Fang's tomb again. He first checked the seal to see if there were any loopholes in the seal, even if there was a gap, so that Luhan could stuff Hiraishin Kuu in. After 3 minutes, Luhan was sure that there were no loopholes. The seal is perfect, sealing the cemetery and the coffin in it in a spherical shape. Luhan scratched his head a little, and then tried to break the seal. In fact, Luhan is also a master who has a lot of sealing techniques, but it is not advanced. Moreover, with Luhan's experience, even without the sealing skills of the master, there is still the possibility of breaking the seal. Meanwhile, Makoto's small courtyard. In the wooden house, the smell of incense permeated the entire hall. I heard the incense seller say that the incense was very refreshing. Makoto didn't want to fall asleep too early, and he didn't want to lose his demeanor because of dozing off. Luhan had something to do. Saying that he won't be back tonight, Makoto wants to wait. In front of the dressing table, Makoto had already redressed and made new hair accessories. Thinking of how Luhan had messed up his hair before, Makoto couldn't help smirking. Stupid humans, muttered the little black cat, yawning on the chair. Bastard, Makoto grunted at the little black cat, then laughed again. The little black cat turned over and lay on her back, looking like she was unlovable. The owner had become a nympho, and she was worried about her future. Makoto repainted her makeup, then walked to the round table and sat down, sometimes in a daze, sometimes smirking, and sometimes frowning. Just like that, I don't know how long. Meow. The little black cat suddenly turned over and jumped up, jumping onto Makoto's shoulder. All the hair exploded, hunched over, staring at the door, as if something terrifying came from outside the door. Makoto's expression changed, and with a flick of his wrist, he gripped Kunai back. Vigilant little guy. A cold voice sounded outside the door, paused and then said, "Can I go in?" Makoto knew this voice, although she was very unfamiliar with this person and seemed to have never spoken, but she knew that this person would not hurt herself, or that he would not hurt anyone, but his temper was too cold. "Yes, is that Orochimaru-sama?" Makoto said with relief. "It's me," Orochimaru said. "Come in." Makoto put away the kunai, and the hair that exploded on the little black cat, but her eyes were still very vigilant. Of course she knew Orochimaru, the overall gloomy guy. Orochimaru pushed the door into the room and Makoto saluted him. Seeing the situation inside the house, Orochimaru couldn't help but be taken aback. There were 8 trays of cakes on the table, and incense was lit. Uchiha Makoto was dressed in a dress, with a charming appearance. We all know that because of his discredited reputation, Uchiha Makoto became more withdrawn, depressed and haggard. Why did he suddenly change? I don't know Orochimaru's sudden visit because Uchiha Makoto asked. Are you waiting for someone? Orochimaru stared at Makoto, frowning slightly. In the evening, put on makeup, light up incense and put on supper cakes. What are you waiting for? Master Orochimaru, this seems to be my personal matter. Uchiha Makoto was nervous, but on the surface he acted very well and spoke in a decent manner. Who are you waiting for? Orochimaru demanded. Makoto frowned. Why is Orochimaru-sama so strange today? It was very strange indeed. It was a strange thing for Orochimaru to visit, and it was even more strange to ask who was waiting. Makoto didn't understand Orochimaru's mind, and Orochimaru naturally wouldn't tell her what she was thinking. Lord Orochimaru, it's getting late. If there's something going on, tomorrow, Makoto's eyes widened suddenly. Because Orochimaru flashed in front of her, he grabbed her neck with one hand, and the black curse crawled out from Orochimaru's hand like a snake, and quickly extended along Makoto's neck. The little black cat jumped up, and before Kiba's grin got bigger, Orochimaru used the other hand to directly kick it out. Back Mountain Forest. The Insight map shows that the Anbu team has already received the news. Within 2 kilometers of entering the Tomb of Heroes, the Faceless Man is still strictly carrying out Luhan's orders, delaying the 6 people, but Luhan's time is still running out. As more and more Konoha ninjas come to support, someone will definitely come to the Tomb of Heroes. After all, the Faceless Man alone cannot hold everyone back. Luhan still hadn't cracked the seal on White Fang's tomb. The crack he wanted was a silent crack, not a brute force one, because he wanted to steal the body quietly, otherwise it wouldn't be so troublesome. Luhan even used Chenkin Shift to reverse the seal, but to no avail. It's really, forget it, forget White Fang's body, who would have thought it was me? Luhan gave up, he gave up cracking, not tomb robbing. Luhan took out the Hiraishin Kunai, the blessing of physical magic, and threw it out fiercely. Boom _. The seal was broken, causing a thunderous roar. Chapter 0865 Where is Orochimaru? The roar from the Tomb of Heroes made all the nearby Konoha ninjas realize that they had been fooled. They left behind the mysterious Faceless Man and rushed towards the Tomb of Heroes. When the Konoha Anbu ninjas came to the Tomb of Heroes, they were all stunned. There is one less grave in the hero's tomb, and one more pit. White Fang's tomb is lost. Not that White Fang's body was stolen, but that the coffin, tombstone, and the bricks and soil on it were all gone, leaving a big pit at that location. Chase. You go over there. I'm going to notify Hokage-sama. Anbu ninja who reacted scattered away, and the light of the torches lit up near the hero's tomb, more and more. Sarutobi Hiruzen is in a bad mood recently, the frontline battle is unfavorable, Konoha is already likely to be defeated, and people in the village are disappearing frequently. It is very likely that his most important disciple did it. Recently, a fake cold light ninja appeared. And when Sarutobi Hiruzen knew there was something wrong with the Tomb of Heroes, his face was even more ugly as if he had eaten shit. More than 10 minutes after the incident at the Tomb of Heroes, Sarutobi Hiruzen came to the back mountain. Kaharu Udatane, Homura Mitokado and others also arrived. There was an accident in the Tomb of Heroes. Being razed to the ground is not a loss, but it's Konoha's face in a big way. The destruction of the hero's tomb is equivalent to the digging of the ancestral graves of ordinary people. Deep in the forest, torches gathered, and more than 100 Konoha ninjas gathered in front of the Tomb of Heroes, led by Sarutobi Hiruzen. White Fang's tomb. How could it be White Fang's tomb? Lord Hangguang. Kaharu Udatane felt that something was wrong, and after a few words, he felt even more wrong. What Konoha is most worried about is the theft of Hangguang's tomb, because Hangguang has 2 types of Kekkei Genkai, Sharingan and Shikatsumyaku dead bone pulse, as well as a huge chakra. For a sorcerer who is proficient in sorcery, it is a treasure. For this, Konoha has always been closely guarded, a grave of cold light, and even S-rank ninjutsu cannot be broken in a short period of time. Kaharu Udatane felt that even if someone came to rob the tomb, it was the one who robbed the cold light, not the White Fang. She felt it was wrong to say this because it was disrespectful. This tomb robbery can be described as daring, seeing the coffins and tombstones are taken away, leaving nothing. I have never seen such a tomb robbery, too cruel. Bring the garrison over here, check it out for me. Damn it. Sarutobi Hiruzen was furious, he was about to be mad. Someone digs up Konoha's ancestral grave, and when this news spreads, the whole ninja world has to laugh at Konoha. There is no real loss in being laughed at, but, face. Konoha wants a face. This is hitting Konoha in the face. In fact, Sarutobi Hiruzen is also very puzzled. What is the use of stealing White Fang's body? There is nothing special about White Fang, there is no Kekkei Genkei. His strength is completely based on his talent and hard work, his body is worthless for research. It seems that there is only one explanation left. Alas! A sigh sounded from the side. Sarutobi Hiruzen glanced at him and saw that it was his own direct disciple, Jiraiya. Jiraiya and White Fang were the same generation and had always been friends. When White Fang died, Jiraiya shed tears in private. Jiraiya was lamenting the ill-fated fate of White Fang, even in death, Sarutobi Hiruzen's heart moved. Where's Orochimaru? Sarutobi Hiruzen asked with a frown. Huh? Jiraiya looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen, her eyes a little blank. Orochimaru did not come. Such an important matter, Orochimaru will definitely get news, but he didn't come. Sarutobi Hiruzen's face became even more gloomy, and he already had a guess in his heart that White Fang's body was really useless, but if it was in Orochimaru's hands. Makoto's courtyard, in a dark wooden house. Luhan appeared out of thin air, his brows furrowed, and his insight map showed that there was no one in the yard, which was strange. What was Makoto doing at night? Could it be that Uchiha Kaion was looking for it? The possibility is very small, because Kaion came during the day. Luhan lit the candlestick. He didn't think Uchiha Makoto had an accident, so he planned to wait for Makoto to come back. When Luhan walked to the round table in the hall with the candlestick, his face changed. On the round table was a white piece of paper with words written on it. It was a letter. Shang Yin, when you read this letter, I may have been far away. I admit that I am not a strong person. I am tired, really tired. Escaping is not the solution to the problem, but for me, it's the only way out. I think you understand the grievances in my heart. Konoha is no longer my home. I'm gone. Don't look for me. By the way, please tell Fugaku, I'm not a traitor. I'm not missing Nin. I just go. Makoto stay. Makoto left Konoha. She can't stand gossip, can't stand cold-eyed abuse, so she decides to run away and leave Konoha. If it had happened just a day ago, no one would have doubted that Makoto was indeed strong enough not to commit suicide. She decided to leave, and left a letter to Uchiha Kaion, who had the best relationship, so reasonable. However, when Luhan came back, this could never happen. Handwriting was indeed Uchiha Makoto's. Luhan recognized it. But this does not indicate identity. For ninjas, it is very simple to imitate a person's handwriting. After all, ninjas can easily become another person. What happened? Luhan's face was very ugly. If Makoto didn't run away, then this letter can only be left by the person who took Makoto. Makoto had an accident. Damn it. Luhan took the letter into his arms, and then searched the entire wooden house, but found no clues. Makoto was gone, and the little black cat was gone. Luhan was extremely anxious in his heart, and flashed around the house, then ran to the yard again, and stopped suddenly. He thought of a way. Makoto, I want to save Makoto and judge her as my teammate. Luhan closed his eyes, repeated this sentence in his heart, and then opened his eyes. On the Insight map, there is a blue dot 3 kilometers northwest, and there is a big Yuhi dot on the side. Konoha's level independent mission ninja, level 60 gold boss, Orochimaru. Chapter 0866 Orochimaru in Konoha 47. Luhan's expression was stunned. He felt that his brain circuits were not enough. Orochimaru. Orochimaru captured Uchiha Makoto, also arranged a fake scene where Makoto ran away from home. Why? Luhan blinked, then looked horrified. He thought of it. Damn test, damn test. Luhan clenched his fists, dodged and disappeared, and approached Orochimaru at a high speed. He was afraid that he would be late, and Orochimaru had dug out Makoto's eyes for research. Original work. There is no plot of Orochimaru taking Uchiha Makoto away for testing. That is because Makoto is Fugaku's wife in the original work, the wife of the Uchiha clan chief, and is considered a big man in Konoha. That kind of people. In this world, Makoto did not marry Fugaku, and became a marginal person of the Uchiha clan, and even moved out of the Uchiha clan's mansion to live alone and lived alone, and Makoto's encounter provided Orochimaru with a very good opportunity to live alone. In Makoto's case, she really left Konoha, and it is estimated that no one will track it down. Orochimaru does it almost flawlessly. If there is no Luhan, except for some people who are sad for Makoto's departure, I am afraid that no one will go to find someone. Luhan's heart was beating suddenly. How could it be so coincidental? If he hadn't contacted Makoto today, as long as he found Makoto a day later and Makoto ran away, he probably wouldn't doubt it. However, what Luhan didn't know was that Orochimaru suddenly attacked Makoto and had a very close relationship with Luhan. This is no coincidence at all. Problem was Namikaze Minato. When Namikaze Minato reported the situation to Sarutobi Hiruzen focused on Hiraishin's leak. Sarutobi Hiruzen suspected Orochimaru, and asked Orochimaru for questioning. Just because of this question, Orochimaru feels the crisis. He knew that he was not far from the incident, and the time was running out, so he accelerated his experiments. After all, once he became a Konoha missing nin, it would not be so convenient. Orochimaru had planned to experiment with Uchiha Makoto, but not recently, but in a few months. He's ahead of schedule this time. The two-story stone building hidden in the dense woods, the roof, walls, and windows are covered with yellow vines. The door of the stone building is hung with chains and rusted madara. It looks like an old house that has been abandoned for a long time. Luhan appeared by the woods outside the stone building. The Insight map shows that the blue dot Uchiha Makoto, who is judged to be teammate blue, is in the stone building, and the big Yuhi dot Orochimaru is naturally also. The identification of enemy and friend has played an extraordinary role today. At that time, Luhan was also holding a bet. The mentality of gambling, after all, if Makoto hadn't been kidnapped and taken away, but Luhan was thinking of saving people, a conflict would have formed, so that the decision that Makoto had become a blue dot would not have been formed. The stone building is not high, but it is very large, like a flat square box crawling in the woods. This stone building looks like 2 floors from the outside, and the windows are 2 floors, but it is actually 1 floor. This is a 2-story warehouse. The warehouse is full of dust and many old machines are piled up, all of which are the first generation of power generation. Since the second generation of generators was developed in Sunagakure village, these bulky big guys have been eliminated. A piece of dusty ground was swept out, and there was a circular curse seal array with a diameter of 3 meters on the clean ground. This was a very simple isolation seal array. The isolation formation, Orochimaru squatted on the ground and was applying more seals to the black cat that had passed out. The unconscious Uchiha Makoto was lying on the side, with tadpole-like curse marks on his arms and face. There were 2 small buckets beside Orochimaru. Orochimaru wanted to seal the little black cat and Makoto, and put them in the bucket. This is the improved sealing technique he recently researched. Konoha quietly with a big living person on his back. It is easy to be found. Neither Uchiha nor Hyuga ninja are vegetarians. His laboratory is built outside the village of Konoha, so every time he catches when people take people out, they will first put them in the bucket, which is convenient, and even if they are seen, the person who sees them will not know what is in the bucket. The little black cat is also a good test subject for Orochimaru. After all, there are not many Konohas of this advanced intelligent ninja beast. Among the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Makoto is not the only one who suffers misfortune, but Orochimaru still chooses Makoto who may cause trouble, because the little black cat is Makoto's ninja beast. Orochimaru turned his head slightly as if he suddenly felt something. Kai, 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 kai. The sound of kunai's burst shot suddenly sounded, but it came from the opposite direction. Orochimaru was enveloped in a terrifying sense of crisis. Orochimaru's reaction was not slow. When his waist twisted, he turned into a black shadow and escaped in a thrilling way. Kunai shot. Orochimaru jumped out of the range of the isolation formation, his body just landed on the big machine. Danger appeared behind him again, and the knife light set off a thunderous hiss. Orochimaru kept dodging, and finally turned around to see who was attacking him. A thin figure with his entire body wrapped in black robes. Luhan appeared next to Makoto out of thin air and checked Makoto's condition. He was relieved, and there was nothing wrong. Except for the seal on his body, Luhan checked the condition of the little black cat, but he was injured internally, but he couldn't die. Orochimaru broke the window and escaped from the warehouse, and the faceless chased him out. Luhan took Makoto and the little black cat and followed him out. At this time, Orochimaru's strength was judged to be a 60-level golden boss. In the original book, his strength at this period should be the same, not too much. In the original book, the Orochimaru of Konoha's 60th year is much stronger than the Orochimaru of Konoha's 47th year. At that time Orochimaru had Master Impure World Reincarnation and many Konoha mysteries, and Orochimaru of Konoha 47 years, still lacked. In fact, with Orochimaru's talent, at the age of 37, it is not a problem for him to enter the 70th class. But he is not doing his job. Since the Second Ninja World War, he has put his experience in the forbidden technique research involving life and death, but the real practice has been delayed a lot. Chapter 0867_Snake Tide. Orochimaru is fleeing to the village. In fact, he has the ability to defeat or even kill the Faceless. The two have the same strength rating. Although the Faceless has a very terrible fighting consciousness, he is the top level 60 gold boss, but Orochimaru is a very special existence. Just like water can put out a fire, the same level is good at sweetened water-style ninjas, can press the fights good at Kaiden fire-style Master Orochimaru of many forbidden techniques. To deal with speed-type Grandmaster swordsmanship ninjas like Faceless people, it is with restraint. However, Orochimaru chose to run away. Because this is Konoha village. Orochimaru did something wrong, he didn't even know who the Faceless man was. Once the two fought head-to-head and made a big noise in the village, what would the Faceless man say? Orochimaru's arrest of Uchiha Makoto would be revealed, and he would have no other way but to defect. Therefore, no matter who those two are, for Orochimaru, escape from Konoha village first. If those two were from Sarutobi Hiruzen, naturally they had to run. If they are not, they must escape from the village and find a way to kill them in a place where no one is there. Orochimaru ran frantically to the outside of Konoha village, with extremely fast speed and secret whereabouts. After the Faceless man left the warehouse, he slowed down and followed Orochimaru, but did not try to stop him, because the Faceless man got the land. Han's order, Luhan's idea is also, go outside the village first. He had already calculated Orochimaru's heart. Unless Orochimaru has the strength to quickly kill the Faceless, he will dare to fight the Faceless in the village of Konoha. But he doesn't. The rules restrict that the Faceless man must be on the same battlefield as Luhan, so the Faceless man chases and kills. Luhan has to follow behind, he has to take care of Uchiha Makoto, and he cannot leave the unconscious and sealed Uchiha Makoto behind. Konoha village where Orochimaru and the Faceless Man go first. Lu Han followed closely. He had an insight map, and his speed was outrageous, so even if he ran with Makoto in his arms, Konoha wouldn't miss the patrolling ninja. Enter the vast forest from the north of Konoha village. Orochimaru's face was gloomy and cold, and while his body was moving fast in the forest, he twisted and twisted, like a snake. As if he was about to show his true shape, he ran for another 20 kilometers. The Faceless Man finally exerted his strength and stopped Orochimaru. The two began to fight. Lu Han gave him the order to leave the village 20 kilometers and kill Orochimaru. There is no particular reason, not for punishing evil and promoting good, but for Uchiha Makoto, Orochimaru has been blackened, and Lu Han's previous friendship with Orochimaru, which was maintained because of Tsunade, can't be climbed. In the forest under the moon, flying sand and rocks, strong winds, roars and explosions, and groups of snakes dance wildly, with soaring curse marks. Orochimaru is too evil, and Lu Han was afraid that the Faceless Man would not be his opponent, so he released the barbarian shield soldiers from the space backpack, and let Faceless and A-Man besiege Orochimaru. During World War II, after Lu Han obtained the barbarian shield soldier, the sword and shield duo made 2 shots in total. One was to smash a Megakure and the other was to block Uchiha Madara. In a Megakure village, they were killed. Therefore, it is impossible for Orochimaru to know the sword and shield duo at all. Orochimaru started running again. 2 against 1, Orochimaru can't beat it. The sword and shield duo chased down Orochimaru. Lu Han was still following behind. The little black cat the size of his palm was in his pocket, and Uchiha Makoto was in his arms. The left eye Eternal Mangekyo spins rapidly. Time and space tied. Forcibly breaking the seal may hurt Makoto, so Lu Han intends to let Makoto go back to the past, and return to the state before being sealed. This is not difficult for Lu Han, but it will take some time. Anyway, the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan is never bad. 60 kilometers northwest of Konoha village, there is an unnamed valley where the mountain is not high and the trees are ordinary. Boom _ Yuhi's name sounded in the forest outside the valley. The smoke and dust shot up 100 meters, and the strong wind tore the towering giant trees. Orochimaru escaped the dangerous attack and fled into the nameless valley, followed by the sword and shield duo. Lu Han finally arrived, but stopped on the low mountain, holding Makoto and continuing to cast the tide of time and space. Hey, Orochimaru, who had escaped all the way, showed a gloomy smile after entering the valley. He had already determined that these people were not from Sarutobi Hiruzen, they were not Konoha ninjas at all. This is easy to do, kill them all and everything will be fine. Ninja technique of snake tide. Orochimaru, who was running wildly, suddenly rushed to the sky, hand seal turned around, and shot a dozen small snakes from his sleeves, all of which were like small cannonballs, bombarding the valley. Rumbling. The ground in the valley cracked, and the mountain wall collapsed, followed by countless hissing sounds, white snakes, black snakes, green snakes, flower snakes, double-headed snakes, giant pythons. Hundreds of thousands of snakes collapsed from the collapse. He got out of the hole in the ground and launched a tragic attack on the Faceless Man and the barbarian shield soldiers. The attack methods of this group of snakes are all kinds of strange. Some are spit thunder, some are biting, some are petrified impact, but most of them are spitting acid, high-strength corrosive acid. Acid attacks are often more terrifying than flames, and many are of fine quality. The metal sword is not afraid of fire, but it can't hold the acid, and it will easily corrode into a scrap iron rod. The sword and shield duo are under siege and look precarious. Too many snakes. In the ninja world, both ninjas and puppets have the characteristics of high attack and low defense. Just like a genin can spit out the flames of burning rocks, but he can't use his body to defend against such flames, he can only hide. Of course, there are also ninjas who are good at defense, but that is a minority after all. Snakes are like tides, and the savage shield soldiers are trying their best to protect the faceless people who are not good at defense, but it seems that they are going to be unable to hold on. This technique. Lu Han was also shocked. this technique is simply pervert. It is estimated that 10 consecutive S-rank group attack ninjutsu releases may not be able to kill all these snakes. How can there be so many? No, Luhan suddenly reacted. No, this is not ninjutsu, these snakes are real snakes. This is a snake cave. Just then, Uchiha Makoto woke up, making a painful nasal sound. Chapter 0868 Orochimaru, Shock. Makoto wakes up, but the seal on her body is still there. Her coma has nothing to do with the seal, she was knocked unconscious by Orochimaru. The group of snakes danced wildly, the blood was thick, and on the cliff, Uchiha Makoto woke up in Luhan's arms, and at a glance, he saw the cold black face and the divine eyes behind the hole in the mask. Han. Makoto recognized Luhan at first sight. Don't move. Luhan looked at Uchiha Makoto. His left eye Mangekyo spun rapidly again, and after only 10 seconds, Makoto finally returned to the state before being sealed. It is worth mentioning that although the temporal tide of the pupil technique can make people go back to the past, it will not affect people's memory. Memory is a problem at the soul level, not a physical problem. Although Makoto recovered to the moment when Orochimaru grabbed her neck, she still remembered what happened. Wait for me here. Be careful. Luhan said softly, took out a big sword and stuffed it into Makoto's hand. Luhan is going to fight in person. This is a snake cave, and I don't know how many snakes there are underground. If you think about it, this should be a trap set by Orochimaru. He has already prepared it. Of course, this trap is definitely not prepared for Luhan, but for Sarutobi Hiruzen. Orochimaru knows that something has happened. One day, at that time, he will inevitably flee and be hunted down. The arrangement here is the basis for Orochimaru to escape. Speaking of which, the hordes of snakes in this unnamed valley are strong enough to destroy a legion. However, even Orochimaru cannot control so many snakes at the same time. He cannot lead the snakes to fight everywhere. People must also be lured here in order to use those hundreds of thousands of snakes to bury the enemy. It is also easy to crack this trap, just get around here. In the valley, 7 huge pythons gathered around Orochimaru. These pythons were on their backs, and they were 5 or 6 stories high. Orochimaru was protected among them and looked very small. Die! Orochimaru's face showed bloodthirsty excitement. Although the faceless man and the brutal shield soldier had killed tens of thousands of snakes in a short period of time, they were too stretched to cope. Up is to die. It is worth it to kill these 2 powerful guys, even if it kills 100,000 snakes. Orochimaru quickly turned his eyes away. He didn't need to pay too much attention to the 2 people who were about to die. He looked at the low mountain at the other end of the valley, on the edge of the cliff. Uchiha Makoto had just woken up. And them. Orochimaru glanced at the 2 people on the mountain, and then disappeared. For Orochimaru, he must kill everyone today, or he will have to defect from Konoha if word of his kidnapping of Uchiha Makoto spreads. Although I don't know the strength of the masked man beside Uchiha Makoto, Orochimaru thinks that he can kill. He has this kind of confidence. After all, there are only so many ninjas in the entire ninja world that are stronger than him, so they won't have such bad luck, right? Is it better to kill anyone than yourself? Luhan gave Makoto to leave her alone on the mountain. Makoto is Jonin no matter what, and the strength is there. It is impossible for the snakes to rush out of the valley to attack her. The only thing that can threaten her here is Orochimaru, and Luhan is going to find her. Orochimaru. If there is danger, run towards Konoha, and I'll be by your side in time. Luhan gave Makoto a few more kunai. At this time. Ding. Remind the subversive 3665 that the savage shield soldiers have been killed, and the cooling time of resurrection is 24 hours. Luhan frowned and looked back into the valley. In order to protect the faceless man from harm, the savage shield soldiers had already died, and the faceless man was surrounded. Luhan immediately took out a Hiraishin and placed it in Makoto's hand. Then flashed away. Man also has Lu Han's Hiraishin Kunai. Lu Han flickered beside the faceless man, grabbed the faceless man's arm, swung the arm round and threw the faceless man out, and the faceless man flew towards Uchiha Makoto like a cannonball. Lu Han disappeared again and appeared beside Makoto again. Kai _ The knife light suddenly appeared in the darkness, and the moment Lu Han appeared beside Makoto, danger came. Lu Han retaliated with a knife, blocking Kue who was slicing across, and Orochimaru's expression changed when he couldn't make a sneak attack. He didn't expect Lu Han's reaction to be so quick. Faceless, protect Uchiha Makoto. Lu Han shouted in a low voice, and immediately launched a hunt for Orochimaru. The faceless man who was thrown over turned around and stabilized his body as he approached the cliff, and then flashed behind Uchiha Makoto, motionless with his knife in hand. Orochimaru waved Kuwu and stepped back again and again. After connecting with Lu Han's 7 knives, he reached out with his left hand, and a black light erupted from his palm. Several chains of curse seals shot out from the black light, hitting Lu Han like a snake. Move the world. Lu Han directly activated the Mangekyo pupil technique in his right eye. Orochimaru, who had a cold and unhappy temperament, was extremely shocked at this moment. He finally noticed, or saw clearly Lu Han's Mangekyo. The lines of Mangekyo belonged to the cold light. The several curse print chains that were attacking Lu Han hit Orochimaru like whips, and Orochimaru's body suddenly became dull, and Lu Han's sword was like rain, bombarding him. Bang _ The white smoke rose, the huge python and Orochimaru switched places. The python appeared, and it was torn into blood mist by Lu Han's knife light, and Orochimaru appeared in the snake group in the valley at the same time. His whole body it was full of black curse marks, and his body was stiff and his movements were slow. Orochimaru took 2 seconds to complete the hand seal, and then hit himself with the black light that appeared from his hand. The curse marks on the body are gone. He can naturally understand his technique. Lu Han rushed into the valley, his whole body exploded with blood mist, and he entered a state of anger. His whole body turned into a blood-colored thunder. Facing the siege of the snake group, he broke out a bloody path and approached Orochimaru almost non-stop. The snake tide in the valley has the fighting power to destroy a legion. The faceless man and the barbarian shield soldiers can't bear it, but to Lu Han, it's nothing. After all, snakes are just snakes, not people. With Lu Han's strength, even if they rush in, it is not a problem for a ninja army to kill the past abruptly, not to mention that this group of snakes does not have the cooperative consciousness of ninjas. Blood fog, Hiraishin, Mangekyo, cold light. Orochimaru was already stunned. Chapter 0869_Dragon and Snake Technique. Happened that Orochimaru couldn't understand, because the ninja rushing to kill him right in front of his eyes was too much like the legend that had been dead for 10 years. Has someone resurrected Hangwang? Orochimaru's eyes suddenly lit up, with a frenzy in his eyes, or, someone has used Hangwang's cells to gain the ability of Hangwang. Orochimaru's thinking is weird. It is impossible for others to believe that the cold light that has been dead for 10 years will be resurrected, but Orochimaru does not think so. This is what he studies. About life and death, about resurrection, about immortality. Only those who have studied all of this understand that these are not impossible. Who has this ability? Who resurrected the cold light? The frenzy in Orochimaru's eyes became stronger and stronger. At this time, his state was as if a treasure hunter had discovered a treasure, as if the emperor had obtained the elixir of immortality. No one can understand Orochimaru's mood at the moment. Hangwang is dead, is he alive again? If so, Orochimaru would love to know how Hangwang was resurrected. Lu Han rushed all the way, and soon came to the vicinity of Orochimaru. There were golden lights bursting from time to time along the way. Killing some ninja beasts with sufficient strength will also drop them. Ingots and psychic badges. This is not the impure world reincarnation. Who is controlling him? Orochimaru guessed in his heart, but his hand was unequivocal, and he quickly hand-sealed, Ninfa, Dragon and Snake Art. A terrifying aura that pierced through the sky erupted from Orochimaru. Rumbling. There was an earthquake in the valley, and a group of snakes were quickly entangled together, and blood-colored rays of light erupted on their bodies. Every 100,000 snakes of different sizes, combined together, became a blood-colored giant python the size of a tailed beast. A total of 7 blood-colored giant snakes appeared, and the 7 blood-colored snakes formed by gathering 700,000 snakes exuded an extremely terrifying aura. This is Orochimaru Master's strongest forbidden technique. And this forbidden technique, he will have no chance to use it after today, because there are not so many qualified snakes in the world, but it took Orochimaru 10 years to travel all over the ninja world to find these nearly 1 million snakes. Snakes with sufficient attack power are basically ninja snakes. He drove these snakes to this valley, and nurtured them with secret techniques in case they were needed. Today's forbidden technique, these snakes are almost dead. If the ninja world wants to have so many ninja snakes, if it is to reproduce naturally, it will take decades. In other words, the strongest forbidden technique launched by Orochimaru today is a one-off. Hangguang. Show your skills. Are you Hangguang? Are you? After Orochimaru launched the forbidden technique, he ducked far away. The sole purpose of his decisive launch of the strongest forbidden technique was not to kill Lu Han, but want to force Lu Han to show his full strength. Only Lu Han can do his best. Orochimaru can know if this is cold light. Fuck me. Lu Han was also a little confused. Who would have thought Orochimaru was so fierce? He was able to launch such a big move, which is not in line with his strength level at all. But from another Kakuzu, the judgment is correct. Orochimaru launched this forbidden technique, with the help of foreign objects, offering Matsuri 100,000 ninjas. This is like a child with no strength. He can still detonate the explosives piled up with torches, and the power is terrifying. The huge blood snake that appeared beside Orochimaru rushed towards Lu Han. Lu Han went up and tried it. He attacked the huge blood snake with swordsmanship. Although he could cut off a lot of flesh and blood from the blood snake every time, the blood snake was too big. It didn't affect a little bit of meat at a time. The blood snake seemed to feel it. Without pain, he completely ignored Lu Han's attack. The bloody mouth almost swallowed Lu Han. Lu Han smelled the pungent sour odor, and there was corrosive acid in the mouth of the blood snake. If Lu Han was really swallowed, he would be corroded by the acid into slag. The other 6 blood-colored giant snakes quickly approached Lu Han. On the cliff in the distance, Uchiha Makoto screamed. Boom _. A blue light suddenly erupted from Lu Han's body, and the terrifying chakra fluctuations enveloped the valley. The blue light jumped hundreds of meters high and quickly formed. Susanoo, much larger than the blood snake, appeared. The huge Susanoo grabbed a blood snake, threw the blood snake out as a whip, and bombarded another giant snake, but it didn't break it. Lu Han rushed behind a blood snake and swept its tail towards Lu Han. Han, with the sound of thunder, knocked Susanoo out abruptly. Lu Han began to fight with 6 blood snakes. These 6 blood snakes are as big as tailed beasts, but their combat power is not as good as that of tailed beasts. The tailed beasts are wise and have a fighting consciousness, but these 6 blood snakes fight like puppets. They fight in a random way, and they attack very well. Rough, mostly dominated by bite and impact, and sometimes sprayed with high-concentration corrosive acid. If it were really 6-tailed beasts, Lu Han would not be able to beat them. 6 blood snakes. Lu Han is easy to kill them, but it takes some time. The attack power of these blood snakes cannot defeat Lu Han's Susanoo. Fight for a few minutes. The huge sickle was swung, causing a gust of wind in the valley. On the first day, when the bloody snake was cut into 8 pieces by Lu Han, the scale of victory fell to Lu Han. When Lu Han killed the 4th bloody snake, the Susanoo on him is also broken. A single attack from the blood snake could not break Susanoo anyway, but the acid corrosion was terrible. Susanoo had endured at least 20 acid corrosions and finally collapsed. Lu Han has entered the Raiden Thunder style chakra mode again. Orochimaru hid in the corner of the valley, his eyes getting brighter and turning into 2 light bulbs. Hangguang. Cold light. Cold light. He is cold light. Orochimaru finally determined that it was not someone who experimented with cold light cells and let someone get the ability of cold light, absolutely not. Because although the ability can be copied, the fighting style cannot be copied. Everyone's fighting thinking is different, so this person must be really cold. Cold light is back. Ninja snake solution. Orochimaru suddenly hand seal. The remaining 2 blood snakes that were about to be killed by Luhan suddenly stopped moving, like sculptures, and then collapsed one by one into 2 mountains of snake flesh and blood. Luhan frowned and turned to stare at Orochimaru. Lord Hangwang, I think we can talk. Orochimaru said loudly. Chapter 0870-Vanishing Malice. The bloody smell in the valley was as pungent as some kind of chemical gas. Blood was everywhere. Snake corpses were everywhere. Luhan was surrounded by thunder and lightning, standing in the sea of blood on Snake Mountain, staring at Orochimaru. Talk. What to talk about with this guy with the name Yuhi? Luhan didn't plan to let Orochimaru leave here alive today. Luhan just paused for a moment, then turned into a blue thunder again, and then he arrived in front of Orochimaru, the sword light like rain. Orochimaru's pupils contracted violently, while Hand Seal retreated and dodged. Several giant snakes sprang from the ground in front of Orochimaru. This time, it was not a real snake, but Orochimaru's art. Luhan hacked them all to death with 2 swords, and hunted down Orochimaru. Lord Hangwang, we don't seem to have hatred. I admit that I am not your opponent, I don't know it is you, and I have no intention of becoming your enemy. It's been 10 years. I don't know when you were resurrected, but I know, you don't know a lot of things, you miss a lot. Maybe we can talk. Orochimaru reasoned with Luhan while fleeing. In fact, Orochimaru is not a reasonable person, otherwise he would not kill innocent people for his own selfish desires, but unfortunately he can't beat Luhan. If he is stronger than Luhan, then it is not with him Luhan reasoned, but grabbed Luhan and pressed him about the method of resurrection. Orochimaru is not a nice guy. Rather wicked. However, Orochimaru is a prodigal son, and he is a prodigal son in the original book. However, Luhan couldn't wait for the day when Orochimaru's prodigal son returned. Chasing Orochimaru all the way, Orochimaru never ran out of the valley. The valley is very big. He was in the circle with Luhan Kabuto. There are still some snakes in this valley, underground. This is Orochimaru's last trump card. If it really is with Luhan, if there is no talk, then he will have to rely on these snakes to escape. Kai. Hiraishin Kuwu hit behind Orochimaru, and Luhan followed, and the sword was like thunder. Orochimaru can't escape. He has used too many methods. The life-saving forbidden technique cannot be used endlessly again and again. Black light and white light erupted on Orochimaru's body at the same time, and the black curse imprint flew out from Orochimaru's back, forming a floating circular curse imprint array. At the same time, white scales appeared on Orochimaru's body, and thick horny wrapped him. Boom! The incantation formation was shattered by Luhan's knife, and its strength was 80%. The knife hit Orochimaru on the back again, but it didn't cut off his scale defense, but it also knocked him out, and Orochimaru flew into the air to donate blood. Luhan's figure flashed and he approached Orochimaru again. Orochimaru hit the mountain wall, sending up a lot of smoke and dust, obscuring Luhan's vision. Luhan suddenly felt a strong crisis, coming from the smoke. He never underestimated Orochimaru. If Orochimaru really fought with Luhan, even if he died, he would be able to inflict heavy damage on Luhan before he died. Approaching the smoke, Luhan subconsciously slowed down. Lord Hangwang, don't you want to know how White Fang died? Orochimaru's hoarse scream sounded in the smoke. Luhan's heart fluttered, and he stopped outside the smoke and dust, staring at the smoke. Orochimaru was inside. The insight map showed that Orochimaru didn't escape while the smoke and dust. The wind blew through the valley, carrying away the thick bloody smell, and the smoke gradually dissipated, revealing Orochimaru's figure. The blood-covered Orochimaru stood under the mountain wall, and his body was a little rickety. He was seriously injured. Behind Orochimaru was the collapsed mountain wall. There were 2 dark holes next to the mountain wall, and more snakes came from the holes. Climb out and gather around Orochimaru. Among them, there are 2 big snakes with Madara colors that are particularly eye-catching. They are no more than 10 meters long, and they seem to be highly poisonous. Can we talk? Orochimaru stared into Luhan's eyes. His pale face was whiter than ever. What's there to talk about? You know, I can feel your malice. You must be thinking about how to lie to me, how to kill me. Do we really need to talk? Luhan said calmly. It's really you. Orochimaru is finally completely sure. All kinds of guesses, no matter how reasonable the reasoning is, there is no truth to what Luhan said at this moment. It is cold light. Why do you insist on killing me? Orochimaru asked. You don't die, Uchiha Makoto is the one who dies. I can't protect her all the time, and you will definitely kill people. I can't give you a chance, so. Luhan's voice was flat. Damn you. Orochimaru froze for a moment, then blinked. Just because of this. Orochimaru is a little unacceptable. No matter how we say it, we have some friendship. We used to kill the enemy side by side in the past, and there is also a relationship due to Tsunade, so why? Orochimaru began to re-examine Uchiha Makoto's position in Han Guang's heart, and he was also re-examining his own position in Han Guang's heart. In Orochimaru's view, Uchiha Makoto is just a small, irrelevant person. However, Orochimaru didn't know. Luhan only said part of the reason, and the other part couldn't be said, about the original book. Luhan really didn't have the patience to wait for Orochimaru's prodigal son to come back. Kill clean. If Luhan's murderous aura was substantial, it seemed that it would explode at any time. White Fang's death, do you want to know? Orochimaru spoke quickly, and hurried to find a topic. Want to know, but I don't believe you. Lies mean nothing to me. Luhan really doesn't believe Orochimaru. Who can prove that what Orochimaru said is true? This guy is you.